None of this matters. That's the point. You're not here to remember anything. You're here to stop trying. So let these facts drift past like moths at a screen door. Useless, small, unimportant. If you catch one, good. If you don't, better. Here's something about an animal that doesn't care that you exist. A giraffe's tongue is dark blue-black toward the tip. That coloration comes from extra melanin, which is the same pigment that gives human skin its color. Researchers think the darker pigment protects the tongue from sunburn during those long hours of reaching for leaves high in the trees. The tongue can extend nearly 2 feet. Elephants have 4 molars, and each one weighs about 5 pounds. They don't have all 4 at once. They use one set at a time, and when a molar wears down, it falls out and another moves forward to take its place. Over a lifetime, an elephant goes through 6 sets of these heavy teeth. The last set appears in its 40s. A cat's nose has a unique ridged pattern, much like a human fingerprint. No 2 cats have the same pattern of bumps and ridges on that little pink or black nose. Some shelters actually use nose prints to identify lost cats, though it's not as common as microchipping. The pattern stays the same throughout the cat's life. Sloths are often described as 3-toed, but that's only true for some of them. The 2-toed sloth actually has 2 toes on its front limbs and 3 toes on its rear limbs. The 3-toed sloth has 3 toes on all 4 limbs. So the names are a bit misleading. They're named after the front limbs, not the back. The tongue of a blue whale weighs about as much as a small car. That's roughly 6,000 pounds of muscle, used to filter krill from the ocean. The tongue sits in a jaw that can hold thousands of gallons of water. When the whale closes its mouth, the water pushes out through the baleen, and the krill stays trapped on the tongue. A shrimp's heart is located in its head. That sounds strange until you remember that a shrimp's head and thorax are fused together into one segment called the cephalothorax. So the heart isn't really in the head, it's in that fused section that includes the head. But it looks like the head, so the shorthand stuck. Cows have one large stomach with 4 compartments, not 4 separate stomachs. The compartments are the rumen, reticulum, omasum, and abomasum. Food moves through each one in sequence, being regurgitated and rechewed along the way. It's a single organ divided into 4 chambers, each with a different job. An ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain. The eye measures about 2 inches across, which is larger than any other land animal's eye. The brain, by comparison, is smaller than the eye itself. That doesn't mean the ostrich is unintelligent. It simply has a small head with large eyes adapted for spotting predators across the savanna. A snail's mouth is smaller than a pinhead, yet it contains thousands of microscopic teeth. These teeth are arranged on a ribbon-like structure called a radula. The snail scrapes the radula against surfaces to gather food, and the teeth wear down constantly, replaced by new ones from the back of the ribbon. It's like a conveyor belt of tiny teeth. Polar bears have black skin under their white fur. The fur itself isn't white, it's actually translucent, meaning light passes through it and scatters, making the bear appear white. The black skin absorbs heat from the sun, which helps keep the bear warm in the Arctic. The fur is hollow, which traps air for insulation. A crocodile's tongue is attached to the bottom of its mouth by a membrane, so it cannot stick its tongue out. That membrane runs the full length of the tongue, anchoring it firmly in place. When a crocodile opens its mouth wide, the tongue stays flat against the lower jaw. This adaptation helps prevent water from entering the throat when the crocodile captures prey underwater. Starfish don't have brains. Instead, they have a nerve ring in their central disc that coordinates movement and responses. Each arm has its own set of nerves that can act somewhat independently. If a starfish loses an arm, that arm can still move for a short time before the nerve ring takes over regeneration. It's not quite thinking, but it's something like it. A hippopotamus's skin is about 2 inches thick, which sounds like it would be tough and protective. But hippo skin is actually so sensitive that it needs constant moisture. If a hippo stays out of water too long, its skin can crack and bleed. They secrete a reddish, oily substance that acts as sunscreen and antibiotic, often mistaken for blood. A kangaroo's tail is muscular and acts as a third leg when the animal walks slowly. The tail supports the kangaroo's weight, forming a tripod with its two hind legs. When moving at speed, the tail acts as a counterbalance, helping the kangaroo stay upright during those long hops. It's not a prehensile tail, it doesn't grip things, but it's strong enough to lift the animal's entire body. A pig's snout has about 20,000 olfactory receptors. That's slightly fewer than a dog's, but it's still more than a human's. Those receptors make the pig's sense of smell quite good, which is why pigs are sometimes used to find truffles underground. The snout is also flexible and can be used to root through soil for food. A flamingo's knees are actually its ankles. The joint that bends backward in a flamingo's leg is the ankle, not the knee. The true knee is hidden up under the feathers, close to the body. So when you see a flamingo standing with that bent leg, you're looking at its ankle joint, which bends the same way a human ankle does, just much higher up. A turtle's shell is made of about 50 bones, including its ribs and spine fused together. That means a turtle cannot leave its shell. The shell is part of its skeleton. The outer layer of the shell is covered in scutes, which are made of keratin, the same material as human fingernails. The scutes can peel and be replaced over time, but the bones underneath stay. A worm has 5 pairs of hearts, though they're really aortic arches that pump blood. These arches are arranged along the front of the worm's body and work together to move blood through its circulatory system. They aren't complex hearts like a mammal's, but they do the same job, keeping the blood moving. Each pair contracts in sequence to maintain pressure. A parrot's tongue is muscular and flexible, and it can manipulate seeds and nuts almost like a hand. The tongue moves seeds around the beak, positioning them for cracking. It also helps in vocalization. Parrots use their tongues to shape sounds. The tongue has a bone inside it, called the hyoid, which gives it that strength and mobility. A fish's gills are its respiratory organs, but some fish can breathe air using specialized swim bladders. The swim bladder, which most fish use for buoyancy, has evolved in certain species to absorb oxygen directly from the air. These fish can survive in low-oxygen water by gulping air at the surface. They're not amphibians, but they've found a way to breathe like one. A spider has 8 legs, but each leg has only 6 joints. Those 6 joints are the femur, patella, tibia, metatarsus, tarsus, and claw. The limited joint count restricts the spider's range of motion compared to some other arthropods, but it's enough for web building and hunting. The legs move through hydraulic pressure, not muscles alone. A bat's wings are made of skin stretched over elongated finger bones, not unlike an umbrella. The skin is called the patagium, and it stretches between the bat's fingers, arms, and body. The fingers, specifically the second, third, and fourth, are greatly lengthened to support the wing surface. The thumb remains free and is used for gripping surfaces. A hedgehog has about 5,000 spines, and those spines are modified hairs made of keratin. Each spine is hollow and filled with air, making them lightweight. The spines lie flat when the hedgehog is relaxed, but they stand up when the animal feels threatened. They're not barbed and don't come out easily, unlike a porcupine's quills. A seahorse has a prehensile tail that curls around seaweed to anchor itself in ocean currents. The tail works like a monkey's tail, wrapping around objects to hold the seahorse in place. This is useful because seahorses are weak swimmers. They'd get swept away without that tail grip. The tail curls in toward the body, not away from it. A mole's front paws are shovel-shaped with oversized claws, designed for digging, not for defense. The claws point outward, allowing the mole to push soil away as it tunnels underground. The paws are rotated so the palms face outward, which looks odd but is highly efficient for burrowing. A mole can dig a tunnel at a rate of about 15 feet per hour. A goat's pupils are rectangular, giving it a wide field of vision to spot predators. The rectangular shape allows the eye to take in a panoramic view of the surroundings without moving the head. When the goat lowers its head to graze, the pupils rotate to stay horizontal with the ground. This means the goat can see almost 300 degrees around itself. A dragonfly has 6 legs but can't walk well. The legs are adapted for perching and for catching prey in flight, not for walking on the ground. They're positioned forward and spread out to form a basket shape that scoops up insects mid-air. Once caught, the dragonfly brings the prey to its mouth while still flying. A skunk's stripes are unique to each individual, like a natural barcode. The pattern of white fur against black fur varies widely from one skunk to another. These stripes serve as a warning signal to predators. The high contrast pattern is easy to remember and associate with the animal's unpleasant defense. The stripes also help skunks recognize each other. A camel's nostrils can close completely to keep out sand during desert storms. The nostrils are lined with hairs that trap particles, and the closing mechanism is voluntary. The camel can shut them at will. This adaptation helps the camel survive in dusty environments where other animals would struggle to breathe. They can also open them wide for maximum airflow. A rabbit's ears aren't just for hearing, they also regulate body temperature. Blood vessels in the ears expand and contract to release or retain heat. On a hot day, the ears flush with warm blood, cooling the rabbit down. On a cold day, the vessels constrict to keep heat in the body. The ears can move independently to pick up sounds from different directions. A hummingbird's wings beat so fast that they make a humming sound. That's how the bird gets its name. The wings move in a figure-8 pattern, which allows the hummingbird to hover in place. This pattern also lets it fly backward and even upside down for short distances. The wing beat frequency can reach up to 80 beats per second in the smallest species. A penguin's flippers are actually modified wings. The bones inside a penguin's flipper are the same as those in a flying bird's wing, humerus, radius, ulna, but they're flattened and stiffened. Penguins use these flippers to swim through the water with a flying motion, propelling themselves at speeds up to 20 miles per hour. On land, they use their flippers for balance. A starfish has a mouth on its underside and an anus on its top side. The mouth is located in the center of the central disc, facing the ground. When the starfish feeds, it extends its stomach out through the mouth to engulf prey. After digestion, waste is expelled from the anus on the upper surface. Food doesn't travel far inside the starfish's body. A crocodile's eyes are positioned on top of its head so it can see above water, while the rest of its body remains submerged. The eyes have a special membrane that protects them underwater, acting like goggles. When the crocodile dives, a clear nictitating membrane covers each eye, allowing it to see clearly even in murky water. The eyes can also rotate to track prey. A donkey's bray is called a hee-haw, and it can be heard over a mile away. The sound is produced by the donkey inhaling and exhaling through its vocal cords, creating that distinctive two-tone call. Donkeys bray to communicate with other donkeys over long distances, and each donkey has its own unique bray pattern. They're louder than a horse's neigh. A frog's skin is highly permeable, meaning it absorbs water and oxygen directly through its surface. This is why frogs are always found near water. They need to keep their skin moist to breathe. The skin also absorbs toxins from the environment, which makes frogs good indicators of ecosystem health. They don't drink water, they absorb it through their skin. Dolphins sleep with one half of their brain awake at a time. This is called unihemispheric sleep, and it means one eye stays open while the other eye closes. The open eye watches for predators, while the awake half-brain keeps the dolphin swimming and surfacing to breathe. They swap which side is awake every couple of hours. This lets them rest without drowning. Horses can sleep standing up, but they need to lie down for REM sleep. Those standing naps are just light dozing. For deep sleep with dreams and muscle relaxation, a horse has to lie flat on its side. They only do this for about 2 or 3 hours a day, often in short bursts. If they couldn't lie down, they'd eventually collapse from REM deprivation. A snail can sleep for up to 3 years at a stretch, though not all at once in one continuous block. They enter a state called estivation, which is like hibernation but for dry conditions. The snail seals itself inside its shell with a layer of dried mucus and waits for rain. When conditions improve, it wakes up and resumes life as if no time passed. The frigate bird sleeps in 10-second bursts during flight, totaling about 42 minutes a day. These birds can stay aloft for weeks at a time, crossing entire oceans without landing. They tuck their heads and rest one brain hemisphere at a time, much like dolphins. Despite all that interrupted sleep, they still migrate successfully and find food efficiently. Elephants sleep only about 2 hours a day, usually in short bursts at night. Most of that sleep happens while they're standing, but they'll occasionally lie down for deeper rest. They often sleep less when they sense threats, which is most of the time in the wild. Despite the short duration, they seem to function perfectly on that minimal sleep. Giraffes sleep in 5-minute intervals, getting about 30 minutes total in a 24-hour period. They can't afford to sleep long because they're vulnerable to predators while lying down. So they take quick naps while standing, often with their necks curled back and resting on their hindquarters. Sometimes they lie down for deeper sleep, but only for a few minutes at a time. Brown bats sleep nearly 20 hours a day when they aren't migrating or hunting. That's one of the longest sleep durations of any mammal. They sleep hanging upside down in caves, trees, or buildings, wrapped in their wings for warmth. During hibernation, they sleep even more, reducing their body temperature and heart rate to conserve energy. A duck can sleep with one eye open, and the half-brain opposite the open eye stays awake. Ducks in the middle of a flock tend to sleep with both eyes closed, while ducks on the edges keep one eye open toward potential threats. They can also decide which eye to keep open based on which direction danger might come from. It's a flexible, adaptive sleep system. Sea otters hold paws while sleeping, so they don't drift apart in the water. They float on their backs, often in groups called rafts, and link paws to stay together. Mothers will sometimes wrap their pups in kelp to anchor them while they sleep. This paw-holding behavior ensures the group stays close and no one gets separated by currents during the night. An albatross can sleep while gliding at 20 miles per hour for seconds at a time. They use unihemispheric sleep, just like dolphins and frigate birds, letting one side of the brain rest while the other manages flight. These birds can stay in the air for months, covering thousands of miles without touching land. They only land to breed, and even then they sleep in short bursts. Sheep don't actually count themselves, but they do sleep standing up, often in groups, for about 4 hours a night. They tend to sleep in shifts, with some members of the flock resting while others watch for predators. Their sleep is light and easily interrupted, which is why they take frequent short naps rather than one long stretch. They can also sleep lying down when they feel safe. A sloth sleeps about 10 hours a day, which is less than the 20 hours often claimed. They spend most of their time awake but moving very slowly, barely changing position for hours at a time. The algae that grows on their fur during their waking hours gives them a greenish tint that camouflages them in the trees. They don't need to sleep much because their movements are already so slow and energy efficient. A crocodile sleeps with one eye open, literally. They keep a watchful eye on their surroundings even while resting, often with one eye half closed and the other fully open. This is another form of unihemispheric sleep, allowing them to stay alert to threats. They can float at the surface with just their eyes and nostrils exposed, sleeping while drifting. A whale sleeps vertically or horizontally, depending on the species. Some whales float motionless near the surface, breathing automatically while they rest. Others swim slowly in circles, sleeping while moving. Like dolphins, they use unihemispheric sleep, keeping half their brain awake to manage breathing and watch for obstacles. They typically sleep for short periods, often less than 30 minutes at a time. A chipmunk sleeps about 15 hours a day, but wakes frequently to eat from its cheek pouches. Those cheek pouches are filled with food, so the chipmunk can snack without leaving its burrow. It wakes, eats a bit, and then goes back to sleep, repeating this cycle throughout the day. This pattern helps the chipmunk maintain its high metabolism without exposing itself to predators too often. A shark never truly sleeps. it must keep moving to force water over its gills, so it enters a restful swimming state instead of true sleep. Some sharks have specialized spiracles that can pump water over their gills while stationary, but most need constant motion. They reduce their activity during rest periods but never fully lose awareness. It's more like a state of low-energy cruising. A seal can sleep underwater but surfaces periodically to breathe without waking fully. They hold their breath for several minutes at a time, sleeping while submerged, and then rise to the surface for a quick breath. This pattern repeats throughout their rest period. They can sleep on land as well, but underwater sleep is more common when they're far from shore. An ant sleeps in brief naps lasting about 250 seconds, then wakes to resume foraging almost instantly. These short naps are spread across the day and night, with no single long sleep period. The queen ant sleeps longer, but still in short bursts. Worker ants never get a full night's rest. They just take hundreds of tiny naps throughout the day. A fox sleeps in a curled position with its bushy tail wrapped around its nose for warmth. The tail acts like a scarf, insulating the fox's face and feet against cold weather. Foxes typically sleep during the day and hunt at night, using dens or sheltered spots like hollow logs. They'll also sleep in the open on warm days, stretched out in the sun. A koala sleeps about 20 hours a day, which is one of the longest sleep cycles of any mammal. This long sleep is partly due to its diet. Eucalyptus leaves are low in nutrients and hard to digest, so the koala conserves energy by sleeping most of the time. It only wakes to eat and move to another tree. Despite its sleepy reputation, koalas are not naturally inactive. Their sleep is a metabolic necessity. A gerbil is crepuscular, meaning it sleeps in short cycles throughout both day and night. Gerbils are most active at dawn and dusk, but they take frequent naps at all hours. Their sleep schedule is flexible, allowing them to adapt to changing environmental conditions. In the wild, this pattern helps them avoid the hottest part of the day and the predators that hunt then. A swallow can sleep while flying, using unihemispheric sleep like dolphins and frigate birds. Swallows migrate over long distances and can stay airborne for extended periods. They sleep in short bursts during flight, letting one hemisphere rest while the other manages navigation and wing movement. This allows them to cover thousands of miles without landing. A rabbit sleeps about 8 hours a day, but in short bursts, often with its ears perked for danger. Rabbits are crepuscular, like gerbils, and are most active at dawn and dusk. They take many short naps throughout the day, always alert to potential threats. Their ears rotate to catch sounds from all directions, even while they rest. A bear hibernates, but it's not true sleep. Its body temperature drops only slightly, and it can wake easily if disturbed. During hibernation, the bear's heart rate slows dramatically, but it remains aware of its surroundings. Female bears give birth during hibernation and nurse their cubs while in this semi-conscious state. It's more like a long winter nap than a deep sleep. A squirrel sleeps in a nest called a dray, usually high in a tree. It sleeps more in winter than in summer, conserving energy during cold months. Squirrels are active during the day and sleep at night, like humans. They often line their drays with leaves and moss for insulation, making the nest warm and comfortable for long winter sleeps. A pigeon sleeps with one eye closed but keeps the other open to watch for predators in crowded environments. Like many birds, pigeons can sleep with one hemisphere of their brain at a time. This allows them to rest even in busy cities where threats are constant. They often sleep in groups, with birds on the edges keeping an open eye toward the outside. A tortoise sleeps about 15 hours a day, often basking in the sun and then retreating to a burrow. They slow down in cold weather, entering a state of brumation that's similar to hibernation. During brumation, they don't eat or move much, but they can wake up on warm days. Their sleep pattern changes with the seasons, longer in winter and shorter in summer. A bat sleeps upside down, which is called roosting, and they hang from their feet for hours at a time. This position allows them to take off quickly by dropping into flight. They often sleep in large colonies, packed together in caves or trees. During the day, they're inactive, saving energy for the night's hunting. Some bats even sleep in a curled-up position within their wings. A horse can sleep while standing using a special locking mechanism in its knees. This stay apparatus locks the leg joints, allowing the horse to relax its muscles without falling over. The locking is passive, so the horse doesn't have to stay awake to maintain it. When it wants to move, it simply unlocks the joints and walks away. A cat sleeps about 14 hours a day, often in sunny spots or cozy corners. Cats are crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk, so they spread their sleep across the day and night. Their sleep cycles include both light dozing and deeper REM sleep. They can wake instantly and be fully alert, which is useful for a predator that needs to react quickly. A cow sleeps lying down, not standing, and they spend about 4 hours a day in REM sleep. Cows typically sleep in a sternal recumbent position, lying on their chest with legs tucked under. They need to feel safe to achieve deep sleep, so they often sleep in groups. Like many herd animals, they take turns sleeping while others stay awake. A hamster sleeps during the day and is active at night, with about 12 to 14 hours of sleep daily. They're nocturnal, spending the daylight hours in their burrows or nests. Hamsters sleep in a curled-up ball, often with their bedding pulled around them. They wake at dusk and begin their nightly activities, which include running on wheels and foraging for food. A koala is not a bear. Despite being called a koala bear in many places, it's actually a marsupial, more closely related to kangaroos and wombats. Marsupials carry their young in pouches, and koalas have a backward-opening pouch that protects their joey. The name stuck, because early European settlers thought it looked like a small bear, but it's not one. A red panda is not a panda. It belongs to its own family entirely, Ailuridae, and is more closely related to raccoons and skunks than to giant pandas. The name panda was given to it before the giant panda was named, and it means bamboo eater in Nepali. When the giant panda was discovered, it inherited the name, creating confusion. A mountain goat is not a goat. It's a goat antelope in the genus Oreamnos, which is more closely related to kshammos and seros than to domestic goats. Mountain goats have distinctive features that set them apart, including a thick white coat and sharp black hooves. They live in rocky alpine environments where true goats rarely venture. A jackrabbit is not a rabbit. It's a hare, which means it's born with fur and open eyes, unlike true rabbits that are born blind and hairless. Hares are also larger and have longer ears than rabbits, with black markings on the tips of their ears. They don't burrow like rabbits do. They create shallow nests above ground called forms. A jellyfish is not a fish. It's an invertebrate from the phylum Cnidaria, with no backbone, no brain, and no bones. Its body is made up of a gelatinous substance called mesoglia, with a simple nerve net that coordinates its movements. Fish are vertebrates with spinal columns. Jellyfish move by pulsing their bell-shaped bodies, not by swimming with fins. A glowworm is not a worm. It's a beetle larva, usually from the firefly family Lampyridae. The glow comes from a chemical reaction in the insect's body that produces light without heat. These larvae use their glow to attract prey or communicate with other glowworms. They eventually metamorphose into winged adults that resemble ordinary beetles. A horned toad is not a toad, it's a lizard, specifically a phrynosomatid from the genus Phrynosoma. These lizards have flattened bodies and pointed horns on their heads that give them a toad-like appearance. They can squirt blood from their eyes as a defense mechanism, a trait no true toad possesses. They live in dry, arid regions of North America. A sea cucumber is not a cucumber. It's an echinoderm, related to starfish and sea urchins, with a leathery body and tube feet. The name comes from its cucumber-like shape, not from any botanical relationship. Sea cucumbers are marine animals that live on the ocean floor, filtering sediment for food. They can expel their internal organs as a defense mechanism. A guinea pig is not from Guinea, and it's not related to pigs at all. It's from the Andes Mountains in South America, where it was domesticated by indigenous peoples. The guinea part may refer to the animal's price in Europe, which was 1 guinea, or it may be a corruption of Guyana. Despite the name, they're rodents, not pigs, and they don't come from Africa. A prairie dog is not a dog. It's a rodent, a type of ground squirrel from the genus Cynomys. They live in large colonies called towns, with complex burrow systems and social structures. The name dog comes from their warning bark, which sounds a bit like a small dog's yip. They're actually more closely related to squirrels than to any canine. A firefly is not a fly, it's a beetle, from the family Lampyridae, with hardened forewings called elytra that protect its delicate flying wings. The fire part comes from the bioluminescent organ on its abdomen that produces light. Flies have only 2 wings, while beetles have 4. So despite the name, this glowing insect is a beetle through and through. A peacock is technically only the male. The female is called a peahen, and together they are peafowl. The male has the elaborate, iridescent tail feathers that fan out in displays, while the female has more subdued brown and green plumage. People often use peacock to describe the entire species, but that's not accurate. The collective term for the group is peafowl. A starfish isn't a fish, it's an echinoderm, and scientists actually prefer the term sea star to avoid the fish misnomer. Sea stars have no gills, fins, or scales, and they move using tube feet instead of fins. They're found on the ocean floor, not in the open water like fish. The name starfish is a common misnomer that has persisted for centuries. A silverfish isn't a fish. It's an insect, related to bristletails, with a segmented body covered in silvery scales. Silverfish have 6 legs and antennae, unlike fish that have fins and gills. They're known for feeding on starchy materials like paper and glue, often found in damp, dark places. The name comes from their fish-like movement, not from any biological relationship. A shellfish isn't a fish. It's a mollusk or crustacean, including animals like clams, oysters, lobsters, and crabs. These animals have shells or exoskeletons, while fish have internal skeletons and gills. The term shellfish is a culinary and commercial category, not a biological one. They're harvested from the sea, but are distinctly different from fish. A cuttlefish isn't a fish. It's a cephalopod, like squid and octopus, with a soft body and 8 arms plus 2 tentacles. Cuttlefish have a distinctive W-shaped pupil and can change color rapidly for camouflage. They have an internal shell called the cuttlebone, which helps them control buoyancy. Fish have spinal columns and fins, which cuttlefish lack. A whale shark isn't a whale. It's a shark, and it's the largest fish species in the world. Whale sharks are filter feeders, eating plankton and small fish by swimming with their mouths open. They have cartilage skeletons like other sharks, not the bony skeletons of whales. The name comes from their enormous size, comparable to whales, but they're definitely fish. A bearcat isn't a bear or a cat. It's a binturong, a viverrid related to civets and genets, with a prehensile tail and a distinctive musky odor. Binturongs are found in Southeast Asian forests, where they eat fruit and small animals. The name comes from their bear-like appearance and cat-like movements, but they're neither. They're more closely related to mongooses. A fox terrier isn't a fox. It's a dog breed named for its use in fox hunting, where they would chase foxes out of their dens. Fox terriers are small, energetic dogs with a distinctive white coat and black or brown markings. They're part of the terrier group, bred for vermin hunting, not for fox behavior. The name describes their job, not their species. A lionfish isn't a lion. It's a venomous fish with striped fins that resemble a lion's mane, giving it its name. Lionfish are native to the Indo-Pacific but have become invasive in the Atlantic. Their venomous spines deter predators, and they use their fins to corner prey while hunting. Despite the name, they're not remotely feline in any biological sense. A tiger shark isn't a tiger. It has striped patterns in juveniles that fade with age, reminiscent of a tiger's stripes. These sharks are large predators found in tropical and temperate waters. The stripes help camouflage them in shallow water, where sunlight creates a striped pattern through the waves. Adults have less distinct stripes, so the name is more accurate for younger sharks. A leopard seal isn't a leopard. It has spotted fur like a leopard, but it's a true seal, part of the family Phocidae. Leopard seals are apex predators in Antarctic waters, eating penguins, fish, and other seals. The spots on their fur are dark and irregular, giving them a leopard-like appearance. They're not related to leopards in any way. The name is purely descriptive. A dogfish isn't a dog. It's a small shark species, part of the family Squalidae, with a long, slender body. Dogfish are found in oceans worldwide and are known for their sharp spines near their dorsal fins. They're named for their dog-like teeth and their tendency to hunt in packs. Despite the name, they're sharks, not canines. A horse mackerel isn't a horse. It's a fish named for its size and schooling behavior, which early fishermen thought resembled horse herds. Horse mackerel are found in temperate and tropical waters, often in large schools. They're related to tuna and mackerel, with a streamlined body built for speed. The name has nothing to do with horses. It's a fishing industry term. A catfish isn't a cat. It has whisker-like barbels around its mouth that resemble a cat's whiskers, hence the name. Catfish are freshwater fish found in rivers and lakes around the world. The barbels are used to taste and feel for food in muddy water. They're not related to cats in any biological way. The name is just a physical description. A camel spider isn't a spider. It's a solifuge, which is a separate arachnid order, distinct from true spiders and scorpions. Camel spiders have large, powerful jaws called chelicerae and lack venom glands. They're found in desert regions where they hunt insects and small animals. The name comes from their camel-like coloration and desert habitat, not from any relationship to spiders. A man-of-war isn't a fish or a jellyfish. It's a siphonophore, a colonial organism made up of many specialized individual animals called zooids. The Portuguese man-of-war is found in warm ocean waters, with a gas-filled float that keeps it at the surface. Each zooid has a specific job, from feeding to reproduction. Despite its jellyfish-like appearance, it's a completely different type of animal. A singing fish isn't a fish that sings. It's a fish that makes sounds by vibrating its swim bladder. The croaker fish is known for its drumming sound, produced by muscle contractions that vibrate the swim bladder. These sounds can be heard underwater and are used for communication during mating. They're not singing like a bird, they're making mechanical sounds. A spider monkey isn't a spider. It's a monkey with long, spindly limbs that resemble spider legs. Spider monkeys are primates found in tropical forests of Central and South America. Their prehensile tails act as a fifth limb, allowing them to swing through the trees. The name is purely descriptive of their appearance, not their biological classification. A kingfisher isn't a king or a fisher. It's a bird that dives for fish, but it's named for its fishing ability, not royalty. Kingfishers are found near water bodies worldwide, where they perch and dive for fish and aquatic insects. The name king may refer to the bird's colorful plumage, which resembles royal robes. They're not kings, and they're not exclusive to fishing. A banana slug isn't a banana. It's a yellow slug found in the Pacific Northwest, named for its bright yellow color. Banana slugs are the second largest slugs in the world, growing up to 10 inches long. They're found in moist forest environments, feeding on dead plant material. The name is a color reference, not a botanical one. A snail's tongue is covered in thousands of tiny teeth, called a radula. It uses this rough, ribbon-like structure to scrape algae off rocks, like a cheese grater. The radula is continuously replaced as the teeth wear down from constant scraping. This feeding method allows snails to harvest food from hard surfaces that other animals can't eat from. They're essentially rasping their meals. An elephant spends about 16 hours a day eating, consuming up to 300 pounds of vegetation daily. That's roughly the weight of 2 adult humans in food each day. They eat grasses, leaves, bark, and fruit, using their trunks to gather food and bring it to their mouths. Their digestive system is not particularly efficient, so they need to eat constantly to get enough nutrients. A blue whale eats up to 4 tons of krill in a single day during feeding season. But they only feed during certain months of the year. They fast for the rest of the year while migrating. The krill is filtered through baleen plates that trap the tiny crustaceans while expelling water. During the fasting period, the whale lives off the fat reserves built up during feeding season. A sloth can take up to a month to digest a single leaf. Its metabolism is one of the slowest in the mammal world, which is why it moves so slowly. The digestive process is so prolonged that the sloth's stomach can hold up to 30% of its body weight in partially digested food. This slow digestion allows the sloth to survive on a low-calorie diet. A hummingbird eats twice its body weight in nectar each day, but it feeds every 10 to 15 minutes during the day. It uses its long, extendable tongue to lap up nectar from flowers, flicking it in and out at high speed. The hummingbird needs this constant feeding to fuel its rapid wing beats and high metabolism. It also eats small insects for protein. A mouse eats about 15 to 20 times a day because its stomach is extremely small. These small, frequent meals keep the mouse's metabolism running efficiently. A mouse will eat almost anything it finds, from seeds and grains to insects and scraps. It can eat up to half its body weight in food each day, depending on availability. A crocodile can go a year without eating, and when it does eat, its stomach acid can dissolve bones. Crocodiles are ambush predators that wait for prey to come close, then strike and swallow it whole. The stomach acid is extremely strong, allowing the crocodile to digest everything from flesh to hooves. After a large meal, the crocodile may bask for days to help with digestion. A camel's hump stores fat, not water. The fat can be metabolized into water and energy when needed, but the hump is primarily an energy reserve. Camels can go long periods without drinking, but the water they use comes from metabolizing the fat in their hump. This process produces both energy and water, which helps the camel survive in desert conditions. A giraffe eats leaves from acacia trees, and its tongue is tough enough to bypass the thorns. The tongue is long and prehensile, able to wrap around branches and pull leaves into the mouth. Giraffes also have a thick layer of saliva that coats the thorns and protects the digestive tract. They can eat up to 75 pounds of leaves in a single day. A rabbit eats its own feces, specifically cecotropes, to absorb nutrients it missed the first time. Cecotropes are soft, mucus-coated droppings that contain nutrients fermented in the rabbit's large intestine. The rabbit eats these directly from its anus, redigesting them to extract vitamins and minerals. This process is called cecotrophy and is essential for a rabbit's digestive health. A starfish pushes its stomach out of its mouth to digest prey outside its body, then pulls it back in. The starfish wraps its stomach around the prey, secreting digestive enzymes that break down the food. The digested material is absorbed through the stomach wall and transported to the rest of the body. After feeding, the stomach is retracted back into the starfish's mouth. A krill feeds on phytoplankton, tiny plants floating in the ocean, and is itself the main food source for whales. Krill are small, shrimp-like crustaceans that filter phytoplankton from the water using fine appendages. They form massive swarms that are essential to the ocean food web. A single krill can filter up to 4 gallons of water per hour to feed. A honeybee eats nectar and pollen, converting nectar into honey by evaporating water with its wings. Bees collect nectar from flowers, storing it in their honey stomachs and transporting it to the hive. In the hive, they regurgitate the nectar and pass it to other bees, who fan it with their wings to reduce the water content. The resulting honey is sealed in wax cells for winter storage. A snail's diet changes with age. Younger snails eat softer plant matter, while older ones scrape tougher surfaces. As snails grow, their radula becomes stronger and more capable of handling fibrous plants. Young snails are limited to tender leaves and algae, while adults can eat bark and decaying wood. This dietary shift allows snails of different ages to occupy different ecological niches. A cat's diet is obligate carnivore, meaning it cannot synthesize certain nutrients from plants. Cats need specific amino acids like taurine, which is only found in animal tissue. Without meat in their diet, cats can suffer from serious health problems, including heart disease and vision loss. Their digestive system is designed to process meat, not plant material. A horse eats hay and grass, but its digestive system requires constant feeding to avoid ulcers. Horses are grazing animals, designed to eat small amounts of food all day long. When they go too long without eating, stomach acid builds up and can damage their stomach lining. This is why horses in stables are often given hay throughout the day. A frog eats insects by flicking its tongue out at high speed to capture them. The tongue is attached to the front of the frog's mouth, not the back like a human's, which allows it to extend further. When the tongue hits the insect, it wraps around the prey and pulls it back into the mouth. Larger frogs may eat small rodents or even other frogs. A spider eats insects by injecting digestive enzymes that liquefy the prey before sucking it up. The spider bites its prey, injecting venom that paralyzes it and enzymes that break down its tissue. The liquefied material is then drawn up through the spider's mouth using specialized organs. This external digestion allows the spider to consume prey that's larger than its mouth. A seal eats fish and squid, but some species eat krill and crustaceans depending on availability. Seals have sharp teeth for grasping and tearing their prey, but they don't chew. They swallow their food in large chunks or whole, relying on their digestive system to break it down. The diet of a seal varies by species and location, with some specialized feeders. A parrot eats seeds, nuts, and fruits, using its strong beak to crack open hard shells. The beak is curved and powerful, capable of applying immense pressure to break through tough husks. Parrots also use their feet to hold food while they eat, bringing it to their beak like a hand. The diet is supplemented with flowers, nectar, and occasionally insects. A turtle's diet is either herbivorous or omnivorous, depending on the species and habitat. Land turtles tend to eat more plants, while aquatic turtles are more omnivorous. Some turtles specialize in eating jellyfish, sponges, or algae, while others eat fish and insects. The shape of a turtle's jaw is adapted to its specific diet. A vampire bat eats blood, but only about a tablespoon per feeding, from various animals. The bat makes a small incision with its sharp teeth and laps up the blood using its tongue. It has anticoagulants in its saliva that prevent the blood from clotting while it feeds. The bat typically feeds on cattle, horses, or birds, and can digest its meal quickly to reduce weight for flight. A worm eats decaying organic matter, aerating and fertilizing the soil as it passes through. Earthworms ingest soil and organic material, extracting nutrients and leaving behind nutrient-rich castings. The tunnels they create improve soil drainage and aeration, making the ground healthier for plants. A single worm can process up to its own weight in soil every day. A penguin's diet is fish, krill, and squid, swallowed whole and filtered through its beak. Penguins have spiny tongues and sharp bills that help grip slippery prey. They feed at sea, diving and catching prey underwater, often swallowing it in one motion. During breeding season, they store food in their stomachs to regurgitate for their chicks. A shark eats fish, seals, and carrion, but many species are filter feeders that eat plankton. The diet varies widely between shark species, from the tiny plankton-eating whale shark to the seal-hunting great white. Sharks have multiple rows of teeth that are continuously replaced throughout their lives. Some sharks can go weeks between meals, living off their liver's fat reserves. A deer is a ruminant that chews its cud to break down tough plant material. Deer eat grass, leaves, and bark, regurgitating partially digested food to chew it again. This process, called rumination, allows them to extract maximum nutrition from fibrous plants. The multiple stomach compartments work together to ferment the plant material. A sea urchin eats algae but will also eat dead fish and other organic matter if available. The urchin uses its five-toothed jaw, called Aristotle's lantern, to scrape algae off rocks. It can graze on kelp forests, sometimes overgrazing and causing significant ecological damage. When food is scarce, sea urchins can survive by eating detritus and organic sediment. A kingfisher eats fish, hunting by diving from perches to catch them in its long, spear-like beak. The kingfisher spots its prey from an overhanging branch, then dives headfirst into the water to catch it. After catching the fish, the kingfisher returns to its perch and beats the fish against the branch to kill it. It then swallows the fish headfirst to avoid fin spines. A lemur eats fruit, leaves, and flowers, with some species specializing on specific plant parts. Lemurs are primates found only in Madagascar, and their diet varies by species. Some lemurs eat primarily fruit, while others eat leaves or gum from trees. The ring-tailed lemur is more omnivorous, occasionally eating insects and small animals. A koala eats eucalyptus leaves exclusively, but not all species of eucalyptus are edible. Koalas have a specialized digestive system that can break down the toxic compounds in eucalyptus leaves. They have a long cecum, similar to a rabbit, which ferments the leaves and extracts nutrients. This diet is so specialized that koalas rarely eat other foods. A flamingo eats algae and crustaceans, filtering them from water with its unique beak. The beak is curved downward, and the flamingo uses its tongue to pump water in and out through the beak's edges. Tiny lamellae on the beak trap food particles while the water is expelled. The pink color of the flamingo comes from the carotenoid pigments in its algae and crustacean diet. A capybara eats grass, aquatic plants, and fruit, and like a rabbit, it eats its own feces to absorb nutrients. Capybaras are the largest rodents in the world and are found in South American wetlands. They feed on grasses and aquatic vegetation, grazing in the early morning and late afternoon. Their digestive system is designed to extract nutrients from fibrous plants, and they use psychotrophy to maximize absorption. A fox's scream sounds like a human in distress, but it's actually a mating call, not an alarm. The sound is high-pitched and piercing, often heard at night during the breeding season. It's one of those sounds that makes people stop and listen, wondering if someone needs help. But it's just a fox, calling out to find a mate. A giraffe makes a sound, despite the old belief that they're silent. They hum at a low frequency, below the range of human hearing, but researchers have recorded these sounds occasionally. The hum is deep and resonant, produced by the giraffe's vocal cords. It's not loud or obvious, so it was overlooked for many years. A domestic cat has over 100 vocalizations, while dogs have only about 10. Cats use a wide range of sounds to communicate, from meows and purrs to hisses and chirps. Each vocalization has a different meaning, depending on the context and the cat's mood. This extensive vocabulary helps cats express their needs and emotions in detail. A howler monkey's call can be heard from 3 miles away through dense jungle. These calls are among the loudest of any land animal, produced by a specially adapted hyoid bone that acts as a resonator. The males call at dawn and dusk, establishing territory and warning other groups to stay away. The sound travels easily through the thick canopy. A woodpecker's pecking isn't vocal, it's a drumming pattern used to declare territory. The rapid tapping on trees serves as a signal to other woodpeckers, marking the boundaries of its territory. Each woodpecker has its own unique drumming rhythm and speed. The drumming also helps attract a mate, with faster or more vigorous drumming being more impressive. An elephant can produce infrasonic sounds below 20 Hz that travel through the ground for miles. These low-frequency rumbles are used for long-distance communication, traveling through the earth to other elephants. The sounds are too low for humans to hear, but they can feel the vibrations through the ground. Elephants use these rumbles to coordinate movements and maintain social bonds. A whale's song can last up to 30 minutes and repeats over hours, with each population having its own distinct pattern. Humpback whales are particularly known for their songs, which are produced by males during the breeding season. The songs change over time, with new phrases and patterns emerging each year. All the males in a population sing the same song, which gradually evolves. A bat's echolocation clicks are so loud they'd deafen a human, but we can't hear most of them anyway. The clicks are at a frequency above human hearing, making them inaudible to our ears. Bats use these high-frequency sounds to navigate and hunt, bouncing them off objects to create a sound map. The clicks are produced by the larynx and emitted through the mouth or nose. A frog's croak is species-specific, with each species having its own pattern, pitch, and rhythm. This allows frogs to identify potential mates of the same species and avoid hybridizing. The calls are produced by vocal sacs that inflate and resonate, amplifying the sound. Different species have different call styles, from clicks to long trills. A dolphin's whistle acts as a name, with each dolphin developing a unique signature whistle by its first year. These signature whistles are used for identification, allowing dolphins to call out to specific individuals. The whistle is unique and remains stable throughout the dolphin's life. Dolphins can recognize and respond to their own signature whistle. A cricket's chirp correlates with temperature. Count chirps in 15 seconds and add 40 to approximate the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. This relationship, called Dolbear's law, works because crickets are cold-blooded and their metabolic rate depends on temperature. Different cricket species have different chirp rates, but the relationship holds generally. Warmer temperatures make crickets chirp faster. A guinea pig's weak sound is usually directed at humans, specifically when it expects food. The high-pitched squeal is a learned behavior, reinforced by feeding. Guinea pigs use the sound to get attention, often accompanied by excitement and anticipation. They don't use this sound with other guinea pigs as often, making it a human-directed communication. A donkey's bray is called a hee-haw, and it can be heard over a mile away. The sound is produced by both inhalation and exhalation, creating that distinctive two-tone pattern. Donkeys bray to communicate with other donkeys across long distances, often when separated. Each donkey has its own unique bray pattern, allowing others to recognize it. A wolf howls to communicate with pack members, with the pitch and length varying by the message. Howls can signal the pack's location, warn off intruders, or coordinate hunting. The howl is a long, sustained note that travels well through the forest. Wolves also howl to bond with each other, strengthening social cohesion. A rooster crows at dawn, but it also crows at other times to assert dominance. The crow is a territorial call, announcing the rooster's presence to other roosters. The timing of the crow is influenced by the rooster's internal clock, but it can be triggered by noise or light. Roosters crow throughout the day, not just at dawn. A bird's song is learned, not born with it. Young birds copy adults. Songbirds have a critical period during which they learn their species' song by listening to adult males. If a bird is isolated from adults, it will develop a simpler, less structured song. This learning process is similar to human language acquisition. A whale's song changes over time, with each breeding season bringing new variations. The songs evolve gradually, with new phrases replacing old ones over years. This cultural transmission means that whale songs are passed down through generations, much like human music. The purpose of these changes may be to keep the songs interesting to potential mates. A cat's purr frequency ranges from 20 to 150 Hz, a frequency associated with healing in bone tissue. The vibrations produced by purring may have therapeutic effects, promoting bone repair and reducing pain. Cats purr both when they're content and when they're stressed, suggesting it may also be a self-soothing mechanism. The frequency is consistent across many cat species. A beaver slaps its tail on water, creating a loud warning sound to other beavers. The slap is a clear signal that danger is present, causing all nearby beavers to dive underwater. The sound can be heard for a considerable distance, warning other beavers in the area. The tail slap is often followed by a dive, as the beaver escapes to safety. A frog's call can be continuous, with some species calling for hours at night. The calls are part of the mating display, with males calling to attract females. The calls are energetically costly, requiring significant exertion to maintain for long periods. Frogs often call in choruses, with overlapping calls creating a sustained drone. An ape uses a range of grunts and hoots, complex vocalizations used in social contexts. These sounds can express emotions, signal intentions, or maintain group cohesion. Apes also use gestures and facial expressions to supplement their vocal communication. The vocalizations vary between species, with each having its own repertoire. A monkey has different alarm calls for different predators, such as leopards, eagles, and snakes. These calls are specific to each predator type, allowing the monkey to react appropriately. A leopard call triggers a ground escape, while an eagle call triggers a lookup response. This system of communication is learned, not innate, and varies between populations. A crow's caw is used to warn others, attract mates, or signal danger. Crows have a complex social system with a variety of vocalizations for different situations. They can mimic other birds and even human sounds, adding to their vocal flexibility. The caw is often used in combination with other calls to convey more information. A dolphin's click patterns are unique, with each dolphin using distinct click rates to identify itself. These clicks are used for echolocation, but they also serve a social function. Dolphins can recognize each other by their click patterns, just as they use signature whistles. The clicks are produced by the dolphin's nasal passages and focused by the melon on its forehead. An owl's hoot is primarily used to claim territory, not to hunt. The hoot is a vocalization that announces the owl's presence and warns others away. Different owl species have different hoot patterns, with some having distinctive rhythms. The hoot is typically made by males during the breeding season, but females also hoot occasionally. A coyote's howl is a high-pitched yip and howl used to communicate with pack members. Coyotes howl to coordinate hunting, defend territory, or locate each other. The howling can escalate into a chorus, with multiple coyotes howling together. The sound carries well across open terrain, reaching other coyotes over long distances. A goose's honk is often used to keep the flock together in flight. The honks help maintain group cohesion, signaling the goose's position to others. Geese also honk to warn of danger or to express aggression on the ground. The honk is loud and can be heard over considerable distances, which is essential for maintaining contact during migration. A frog's vocal sac can be inflated up to 3 times the size of its head, amplifying its call. The sac acts as a resonating chamber, making the call louder and more distinctive. Different species have different sac shapes, which affect the sound quality. The sac is also used as a visual display, signaling the frog's size and vitality to potential mates. A fish can produce sounds by vibrating its swim bladder or rubbing body parts together. These sounds are used for communication, often during mating or territorial disputes. Some fish are quite vocal, producing grunts, clicks, and hums. The sounds are usually low frequency, traveling well through water. A grasshopper creates sound by rubbing its hind legs against its wings, a process called stridulation. This is different from a cricket, which rubs its wings together. The sound is used by males to attract females, with each species having a characteristic pattern. The sound is often species-specific, allowing potential mates to identify each other. A snail has about 14,000 teeth on its tongue, arranged in rows that wear down and are replaced continuously. These teeth are microscopic and sit on a ribbon-like structure called a radula. As the front teeth wear out from scraping algae and plant material, new ones grow from the back to replace them. This constant replacement ensures the snail always has functional teeth for feeding. An elephant's tusks are actually incisors, specifically the second upper incisors, that grow throughout its life. These tusks are made of ivory, which is a type of dentin, and they never stop growing. Elephants use their tusks for digging, lifting, and defense. Both male and female African elephants have tusks, while only some male Asian elephants do. A horse's teeth take up more space in its head than its brain. Horses have large, hypsodont teeth with high crowns that continue to erupt throughout their lives. This adaptation allows them to graze on tough grasses that wear down their teeth over time. The teeth are constantly being ground down and replaced by new growth from the root. A shark's skin is covered in denticles, tiny tooth-like scales that feel like sandpaper if rubbed one way. These denticles are made of the same material as teeth, enamel, and dentin, and they reduce drag as the shark swims. They also provide protection against parasites and predators. The denticles are arranged in a pattern that helps the shark glide through water efficiently. A crocodile has about 60 teeth at a time and replaces each one up to 50 times over its life. Crocodiles are polyphyodonts, meaning they can replace teeth continuously throughout their lives. New teeth grow beneath the old ones, pushing them out when they become worn or damaged. This constant renewal ensures the crocodile always has sharp teeth for gripping prey. A giraffe has the same number of teeth as a human, 32, but they're arranged differently and wear down unevenly due to browsing. Giraffes have no upper incisors, just a hard dental pad that works with their lower incisors to strip leaves from branches. Their molars are large and ridged, adapted for grinding tough plant material. The teeth wear down at an angle because of how the giraffe chews. A beaver's incisors are orange, due to iron in the enamel, making them stronger than steel. The iron compounds give the teeth their distinctive color and exceptional hardness. These incisors never stop growing, so the beaver must constantly gnaw on wood to keep them at a manageable length. The front surface of each tooth is harder than the back, which creates a self-sharpening edge. An armadillo's shell is made of bone plates covered in keratin, the same material as human fingernails. The shell covers the armadillo's back and is divided into bands that allow flexibility. This armor is part of the armadillo's skeleton, with the plates fused to the underlying bones. The keratin layer gives the shell a tough, protective surface. A narwhal's tusk is actually an elongated tooth, specifically an upper incisor, with up to 10 million nerve endings. The tusk can grow up to 10 feet long and is actually a sensory organ, detecting changes in water temperature and pressure. It's primarily found in males, though some females have smaller tusks. The tusk grows in a spiral pattern, a distinctive feature of the narwhal. A frog's teeth are only on its upper jaw, and they're used to grip prey, not chew it. These teeth are small and cone-shaped, designed to hold onto insects until the frog can swallow them. The teeth are not used for cutting or grinding, as frogs swallow their food whole. Some frog species have lost their teeth entirely and swallow prey whole without gripping. A squid's beak is made of chitin, the same material as insect exoskeletons, and it's its only hard part. The beak is located at the center of the squid's tentacles and is used to bite and tear prey. It's extremely sharp and strong, capable of cutting through fish and crustaceans. The beak is surrounded by muscular tissue that opens and closes it. A sea urchin's spines are calcium carbonate, brittle but sharp, and some species have venom at the tips. The spines are used for defense and locomotion, with the urchin moving by rolling on them. The spines can break off easily, but they regenerate over time. The venomous tips are a warning to predators, causing pain and swelling. A dog has 42 permanent teeth, including incisors, canines, and molars. Dogs use their sharp canines for gripping and tearing, while their molars are adapted for crushing and grinding. The teeth are arranged to efficiently process meat and bone, reflecting the dog's carnivorous ancestry. Puppies have 28 deciduous teeth, which are replaced by adult teeth by about 6 months of age. A cat's teeth are more specialized for shearing, with fewer molars than dogs and more pointed canines. Cats have 30 teeth in total, compared to the dog's 42. The teeth are designed for gripping and tearing meat, with the carnassial teeth acting like scissors to shear through tissue. Cats don't chew their food much. They swallow it in chunks. A parrot's beak is made of keratin and grows continuously, needing to be worn down through chewing. Parrots use their beaks for climbing, feeding, and manipulating objects. The upper beak is hinged at the skull, allowing it to move independently. The beak's growth rate means parrots need to chew on hard materials to keep it trim. A turtle's beak is made of keratin, with no teeth in most species. The beak is sharp and used for cutting food, whether that's plants, insects, or small animals. Some turtles, like the loggerhead, have powerful jaws capable of crushing shells. The beak shape varies with diet, with herbivores having wider beaks for cropping plants. A shark's jaw is not attached to its skull. It's connected by ligaments, allowing it to protrude forward when biting. This suspension system lets the shark extend its jaw to capture prey that's beyond its normal reach. The jaw is lined with rows of replaceable teeth, which are continuously growing. When the shark bites, the jaw moves forward and the teeth sink into the prey. A walrus's tusks are elongated canine teeth, used for fighting and hauling out on ice. Both male and female walruses have tusks, though the males are typically larger. The tusks can grow up to 3 feet long and are used to establish dominance and attract mates. They also help the walrus pull itself out of the water onto ice floes. A cow has incisors only on the lower jaw, with a hard dental pad on the upper jaw that replaces the upper incisors. This arrangement allows the cow to grasp grass with its lower teeth and tongue, then rip it by pulling its head away. The dental pad is tough and fibrous, providing a surface for the lower incisors to work against. Cows have molars on both jaws for grinding. A horse's hypsodont teeth are high-crowned and continue erupting throughout the animal's life. This adaptation is common in grazing animals that eat abrasive grasses, which wear down tooth enamel. The teeth have deep roots that push upward as the crown wears down. By the time a horse is in its late 20s, the teeth may be worn flat to the gum line. A beaver's 4 incisors are constantly growing, self-sharpening through gnawing and chewing. The outer layer of the tooth is harder than the inner layer, so as the beaver gnaws, the softer inner enamel wears away faster. This creates a chisel-like edge that's effective for cutting wood. The incisors must be kept at a manageable length through constant use. A squirrel's incisors are also constantly growing, requiring constant gnawing to keep them from becoming too long. Squirrels gnaw on nuts, bark, and hard seeds to keep their teeth sharp and at the right length. If a squirrel's incisors become too long, the animal may starve because it can't eat. The incisors have a hard enamel layer and a softer dentin layer, creating a self-sharpening edge. A pangolin's scales are made of keratin and used for defense, not attack. The scales cover the pangolin's body like armor, and the animal can roll into a ball to protect its soft underside. The scales are sharp and can inflict cuts on predators that try to bite them. Pangolins are the only mammals completely covered in scales. A rattlesnake's rattle is made of interlocking keratin segments, adding a new segment each time the snake molts. The rattle is located at the tip of the tail and is used to warn potential threats. When the snake vibrates its tail, the segments knock against each other, producing the characteristic buzzing sound. The rattle is hollow and amplifies the sound. A crab's exoskeleton is made of chitin, hardened with calcium carbonate for strength. This exoskeleton provides protection and support, but it doesn't grow, so the crab must molt to grow larger. During molting, the crab sheds its old exoskeleton and absorbs water to expand its new one. The new shell is soft at first, but hardens over time. A beetle's elytra are hardened forewings that protect the hindwings, made of keratin. The elytra form a protective shell over the beetle's body, covering the delicate flight wings. When the beetle flies, it lifts the elytra and extends the hindwings from underneath. The elytra are often colorful and patterned, used for camouflage and communication. A sea star's ossicles are small calcareous plates embedded in its skin, giving it rigidity. These plates are connected by flexible tissue, allowing the sea star to move and bend. The ossicles form a kind of internal skeleton that protects the sea star's body. Some sea stars have spines on the ossicles for additional protection. A clam's shell is made of calcium carbonate, secreted by the clam's mantle. The shell is layered, with an outer layer of protein and inner layers of calcium carbonate. The shell grows as the clam grows, adding new layers over time. The shell provides protection from predators and physical damage. A turtle's shell is composed of about 50 bones, including its ribs and spine fused together. The shell is made of 2 parts, the carapace on top and the plastron on the bottom, connected by a bridge. The shell grows with the turtle, adding layers of bone and keratin over time. Some turtles can withdraw their head and limbs into the shell for protection. A slug's radula is the same structure as a snail's radula, but with different tooth shapes for different diets. Slugs are snails without shells, and they feed by scraping surfaces with their radula. The teeth on a slug's radula are adapted to its specific diet, whether it's eating algae, decaying plants, or fungi. The radula is constantly replaced as teeth wear out. A sloth moves at about 6 feet per minute on the ground, but in trees it's slightly faster at around 10 feet per minute. On the ground, a sloth drags itself forward using its long claws, which are more suited for hanging than walking. In the trees, it moves hand over hand along branches, still slowly, but with more fluidity. This pace is so slow that algae grows on its fur during its waking hours. A snail moves at about 0.03 miles per hour, which would take it roughly 3 days to travel a mile. Snails use a muscular foot to glide along surfaces, secreting a layer of mucus to reduce friction. The foot moves in waves, contracting and expanding to push the snail forward. At that speed, a snail could cross a typical garden in about a week. A starfish moves using hundreds of tube feet on its underside, each one extending and contracting individually. These tube feet are filled with water, which the starfish pumps in and out to control movement. The feet also have suction cups at their tips, allowing the starfish to grip surfaces firmly. This system is slow but effective for moving along the ocean floor. A penguin's waddle is actually more efficient than a human walk, using less energy per distance on flat surfaces. Penguins waddle because their legs are short and set far back on their bodies, a posture that works well for swimming. The side-to-side motion helps them conserve energy, despite looking awkward. On ice and snow, penguins often slide on their bellies, called tobogganing, which is even more efficient. A kangaroo can't move its hind legs independently on land. It hops with both together, but can swim using them alternately. The kangaroo's hind legs are adapted for powerful synchronized hopping, which is the most efficient way to travel at speed. In water, however, the kangaroo uses its hind legs in a kicking motion, alternating like a dog paddle. This dual-mode locomotion helps the kangaroo escape predators in different environments. A sidewinder snake moves diagonally, leaving a J-shaped trail to keep its body cool in the desert. The sidewinder lifts its body in loops, moving sideways across the hot sand with minimal contact. This motion reduces the amount of body surface touching the ground, helping the snake stay cool. The distinctive trail is a signature of this unique movement pattern. A sea turtle's flippers are modified forelimbs, and it can't tuck them into its shell like a land turtle. The flippers are long and paddle-like, designed for efficient swimming in the ocean. On land, the flippers are awkward and slow, making the turtle vulnerable. The flippers are also used for digging nests in the sand. An octopus has no bones, so it can fit through any opening larger than its beak, which is its only hard part. The octopus's soft body can squeeze through incredibly small spaces, contorting its shape to fit. Its arms are flexible and muscular, used for crawling, swimming, and manipulating objects. The beak is the only hard structure, located at the center of the arms. A caterpillar has about 4,000 muscles, while humans have just over 600. These muscles allow the caterpillar to move in a wave-like motion called crawling, with each segment moving independently. The muscles also help the caterpillar grip surfaces securely. This many muscles gives the caterpillar tremendous flexibility and control over its movements. A flea's jump is about 100 times its body length, but that's only impressive in proportion. It's still only a few inches. Fleas can jump about 7 inches vertically and 13 inches horizontally, impressive for their size, but not enormous in absolute terms. The jump is powered by a protein called resilin, which acts like a spring. The flea's legs are adapted for this explosive, energy-efficient leap. A sloth can hold its breath underwater for up to 40 minutes, though it rarely has reason to. This ability is an adaptation for swimming, which sloths do occasionally to cross rivers. The sloth slows its heart rate and conserves oxygen during these dives. Despite the long breath holding, sloths are not aquatic animals. They just happen to be good at swimming. A jellyfish moves by contracting its bell, a pulsing motion that expels water and propels it forward. The bell is filled with a gelatinous substance, and the contraction forces water out in a jet. The jellyfish then relaxes, allowing the bell to expand and refill with water. This pulsing motion is slow but effective for movement in the water column. A snake moves by undulating, using its scales to grip surfaces and push forward. The snake's body forms S-shaped curves, with each curve pushing against the ground to propel the snake forward. This is called lateral undulation, and it works well on smooth surfaces. Other snake gaits include concertina, sidewinding, and rectilinear movement, each used in different conditions. A fish swims using its fins, with the tail providing primary propulsion. The tail fin, or caudal fin, pushes water backward, creating forward thrust. Other fins, like the pectoral and pelvic fins, are used for steering and stability. Different fish have different fin shapes for different swimming styles, from fast sprinters to slow cruisers. A salamander crawls with a side-to-side movement, similar to a small lizard. The salamander's body undulates from side to side as it moves, with each leg pushing alternately. This gait is slower than a lizard's, reflecting the salamander's slower metabolism. Salamanders also swim by undulating their bodies, similar to fish. A crab walks sideways, but some species can walk forward or backward as well. Sideways walking is more efficient for crabs, because their legs are jointed to move in that direction. The crab's exoskeleton is wide and flattened, making sideways movement more stable. When fleeing, crabs can move quickly sideways, dodging predators with their sideways scuttles. A turtle moves slowly on land, but swims faster, using its flippers to propel itself. Land turtles have sturdy, columnar legs for walking, while aquatic turtles have more flattened limbs for swimming. The speed difference is significant. A turtle on land may take minutes to cover the distance it swims in seconds. This contrast reflects their evolutionary adaptations to different environments. A horse has 4 gaits: walk, trot, canter, and gallop, each with a different footfall pattern. In a walk, each foot hits the ground separately, while in a trot, diagonal pairs move together. The canter has a 3-beat rhythm, and the gallop has a 4-beat rhythm, with a period of suspension. These gaits allow the horse to move efficiently at different speeds. A bird flies by flapping and can also glide, using air currents to stay aloft. The flapping motion provides lift and thrust, while gliding conserves energy by using rising air currents. Different birds have different wing shapes for different flight styles, from fast, straight flight to hovering. The wing shape determines the bird's maneuverability and speed. A bat flies using its webbed wings, which are more maneuverable than bird wings. The bat's wings are made of skin stretched over elongated finger bones, allowing for precise control. Bats can change wing shape during flight, adjusting for speed and agility. This flexibility makes bats highly maneuverable, able to change direction quickly and even hover. A seal moves on land using a galumphing motion, pulling itself forward with its flippers. The seal's body is not designed for land movement, so it lurches and bounces along the ground. The front flippers provide propulsion, while the back flippers are used for steering. This awkward motion is effective but slow, leaving seals vulnerable on land. A manatee swims slowly, usually no faster than 5 miles per hour. Manatees are large, slow-moving marine mammals that feed on seagrass and other aquatic vegetation. Their flippers are used for steering, and their powerful tail provides propulsion. The slow speed is energy efficient, matching the manatee's low metabolic rate. A rabbit hops, using powerful hind legs with a characteristic zigzag to escape predators. The rabbit's hind legs are longer and stronger than its front legs, providing the force for hopping. The zigzag pattern makes it harder for predators to predict the rabbit's path. Rabbits can also run in a straight line at speed when necessary. A kangaroo cannot walk backward. Its tail and legs are designed for forward motion only. The kangaroo's tail is heavy and acts as a counterbalance, making backward movement difficult. The hind legs are specialized for hopping forward, not for walking or backing up. If a kangaroo needs to reverse, it must turn around entirely. A gecko climbs walls using microscopic bristles on its toes for adhesion. These bristles, called setae, are so small that they use van der Waals forces to stick to surfaces. The gecko can walk on smooth surfaces, including glass, without slipping. The adhesive system is so effective that the gecko can support its entire weight on a single toe. A worm moves by alternating contractions of its circular and longitudinal muscles, a motion called peristalsis. The worm anchors its front end with bristles called setae, then contracts its body to pull the back end forward. This wave-like motion is effective for burrowing through soil. The worm can also expand its body to grip the sides of its burrow. A snake can move without legs using 4 main modes: serpentine, concertina, sidewinding, and rectilinear. Serpentine is the most common, using lateral undulation to push against surfaces. Concertina is used in tight spaces, with the snake folding and unfolding its body. Sidewinding is used on loose surfaces, and rectilinear is a slow, straight crawl. A hummingbird can fly backward, hover, and even fly upside down for short distances. Its wings move in a figure-8 pattern, producing lift on both the downstroke and upstroke. This allows the hummingbird to hover in place while feeding from flowers. The wing motion is so fast that it creates the humming sound that gives the bird its name. A dog's sense of smell is roughly 10,000 times more sensitive than a human's, but only in certain ways. Dogs can detect odors at concentrations as low as parts per trillion, but they can't detect all the smells we can. Their olfactory system is specialized for tracking and identifying specific scents, like those of other animals or food. They also have a second olfactory organ called Jacobson's organ, which detects pheromones. A cat's vision is adapted for motion and low light, but it sees fewer colors, mostly blues and yellows. Cats have more rod cells in their eyes than humans, which helps them see in dim light. Their color vision is limited, lacking the red and green receptors that humans have. This means a cat's world is mostly shades of blue, yellow, and gray, but they can see movement much better than we can. A shark can detect electric fields, but only from about a foot away and only from prey that's moving. Sharks have special organs called ampullae of Lorenzini, which are sensitive to electrical signals. These organs are located around the shark's head and snout, forming a network of jelly-filled pores. The electrical signals help the shark locate prey that's hidden in the sand or murky water. An owl's hearing is asymmetrical. Its ears are at different heights on its head, helping it triangulate sound. The left ear is higher than the right ear, which allows the owl to determine the vertical location of a sound. The owl's facial disc acts like a satellite dish, channeling sound into its ears. This precise hearing allows owls to hunt in complete darkness. A bee sees ultraviolet light, but it doesn't see red, which looks black to it. The bee's compound eyes contain receptors for ultraviolet, blue, and green light. This color vision helps bees find nectar-rich flowers, which often have ultraviolet patterns invisible to humans. The lack of red receptors means bees can't distinguish red flowers from green foliage. A starfish has an eye at the tip of each arm, but each one is simple and can only detect light and shadow. The eyes are located on the underside of each arm, facing downward. They're used to detect changes in light levels, helping the starfish navigate toward darker areas. The starfish can't see shapes or details, just the presence or absence of light. A snake detects heat through pits in its head, but only within a few feet, and only from warm-blooded prey. These heat-sensing pits are located between the snake's eyes and nostrils. The pits can detect temperature differences as small as 0.003 degrees Celsius. This allows the snake to strike accurately at warm-blooded prey, even in complete darkness. A bat's echolocation is accurate to about the size of a mosquito, but it loses resolution in cluttered environments. Bats emit high-frequency clicks and listen to the returning echoes to build a sound map of their surroundings. In open spaces, they can detect tiny insects and obstacles with remarkable precision. In dense forests, the echoes bounce off many surfaces, creating confusion and reducing accuracy. A cuttlefish's W-shaped pupils give it a wide field of view, but its depth perception is actually poor. The unusual pupil shape helps the cuttlefish detect polarized light and see in multiple directions. However, their eyes are positioned on the sides of their head, which limits binocular vision. This means they have a harder time judging distances than humans do. A horse has eyes on the sides of its head, giving it nearly 360 degrees of vision, but with a blind spot directly in front. The blind spot is about 3 feet in front of the horse's face, which is why horses sometimes spook at objects directly in front of them. They have excellent peripheral vision, which helps them spot predators. Their vision is also adapted for low light, but they have limited color perception. A rat's whiskers are as sensitive as human fingertips, but they're used primarily for navigation in the dark. The whiskers, or vibrissae, are touch-sensitive hairs that detect changes in airflow and contact. Rats use their whiskers to feel their way through tunnels and tight spaces. The whiskers are also used to identify objects and textures. A pigeon can detect magnetic fields, but researchers aren't sure how, and the sense is weak enough to be easily overwhelmed. Pigeons have magnetite particles in their beaks that may act as a magnetic sensor. This sense helps them navigate during migration and homing flights. The magnetic sense can be disrupted by strong magnets or changes in the Earth's magnetic field. A spider has 8 eyes, but most are simple light detectors. Only 2 are used for vision. The 2 main eyes are called anterior median eyes and are capable of forming images. The other 6 eyes are smaller and detect light and movement, but don't form detailed images. The positioning of the eyes varies by species, with some having eyes on top of their heads. An eagle has 5 times more photoreceptors in its retina than a human, but it can't see in the dark. The high density of photoreceptors gives eagles exceptional visual acuity, allowing them to spot prey from great distances. However, they have relatively few rod cells, which are responsible for night vision. So despite their daytime sharpness, eagles are virtually blind in low light. A mouse's hearing is up to 100 kHz, much higher than humans, but it loses sensitivity with age. This high-frequency hearing helps mice detect the ultrasonic calls of other mice. The hearing range is broader than a human's, covering a wider spectrum of frequencies. As mice age, they gradually lose the ability to hear the highest frequencies. A beetle's antennae are used for smell, touch, and sometimes hearing. The antennae are covered in sensory hairs and receptors that detect chemicals and vibrations. Some beetles use their antennae to detect pheromones from potential mates. The antennae can be moved independently to sample different directions. A fly's compound eye has thousands of individual lenses, but it sees a mosaic image. Each lens is called an ommatidium and captures a small piece of the visual field. The fly's brain assembles these pieces into a single image, but the resolution is low. This vision is good for detecting movement, but not for seeing fine details. A whale's hearing is adapted for water, with its eardrums inside its skull, not on the surface. The whale's ear bones are isolated from the skull by air spaces, allowing for directional hearing underwater. This adaptation helps whales locate prey and communicate over long distances. The hearing is most sensitive to low-frequency sounds, which travel well through water. A chimpanzee's color vision is similar to humans, but it sees more shades of green and blue. Chimpanzees are trichromatic, meaning they have 3 types of color receptors like humans. Their color vision helps them find ripe fruit in the forest canopy. The ability to distinguish green and blue shades may help them detect subtle differences in foliage. A catfish has taste buds all over its body, especially on its whiskers, allowing it to taste food before eating it. These taste buds are called barbels and are located around the catfish's mouth. The barbels are covered in taste buds that can detect chemicals in the water. This allows the catfish to find food in murky water without relying on sight. A hawk's vision is about 8 times sharper than a human's, but it can't see in color as well. Hawks have high visual acuity, allowing them to spot small prey from high altitudes. Their color vision is good, but not as detailed as their black and white vision. The sharpness comes from the dense packing of photoreceptors in their retinas. A dog's hearing ranges from 40 Hz to 60 kHz, which is higher than humans, but lower than bats. This range allows dogs to hear sounds that humans can't, including high-pitched noises. Dogs also have mobile ears that can rotate to pinpoint the source of a sound. Their hearing is most sensitive at frequencies used in dog vocalizations. A shark's olfactory system is used for smell, not for breathing. Sharks have nostrils called nares, which are used exclusively for detecting odors in the water. Water flows through the nares and over sensory cells that detect chemicals. The shark can detect blood at concentrations as low as 1 part per million. A bee's sense of taste is in its feet. It can taste nectar with its legs. The taste receptors are located on the bee's tarsi, or feet, which are in contact with flowers when the bee lands. This allows the bee to quickly assess whether a flower has nectar before extending its proboscis. The feet also detect the texture and moisture of the flower surface. An octopus's vision is good, but it has a poor sense of color, relying on polarization to navigate. Octopuses have large, well-developed eyes with a single type of photoreceptor. They can see polarized light, which helps them detect the movement of prey and avoid predators. Despite good visual acuity, they have limited color vision, seeing mostly in black and white. A rat's hearing range is up to 90 kHz, much higher than humans, but it can't hear low frequencies well. Rats use high-frequency sounds for communication, including distress calls and mating calls. Their hearing is optimized for these ultrasonic frequencies, which are inaudible to humans. The sensitivity to low frequencies is poor, so they can't hear deep rumbles. A dolphin's hearing is so sensitive that it can distinguish a bullet in water from a piece of metal. Dolphins use echolocation to navigate and hunt, emitting clicks and listening to the returning echoes. Their hearing is highly acute, allowing them to detect subtle differences in echoes. This helps them distinguish between different types of prey and objects in the water. A crocodile's eyes are adapted for underwater vision, with a clear membrane that protects them like goggles. The nictitating membrane covers the eye when the crocodile dives, allowing it to see clearly in murky water. The eyes are also positioned high on the head, so the crocodile can see above water while mostly submerged. The vision is sharp, with good depth perception. A housefly lives for about 28 days, which is actually on the longer end for flies in the wild. Most flies live only a few weeks, with the entire life cycle from egg to adult taking about a week. The adult fly spends its short life feeding, mating, and laying eggs. In optimal conditions with plenty of food and warmth, a fly might live up to a month. A cat's average lifespan is about 15 years, but indoor cats live longer, around 18 years, than outdoor cats. Outdoor cats face more dangers, including traffic, predators, and disease, which shorten their lives. Indoor cats are protected from these risks and often receive better veterinary care. Some cats live into their 20s, with the oldest recorded cat reaching 38 years. A parrot's lifespan varies by species, with a budgie living about 5 to 10 years while a macaw can live up to 50. Larger parrots tend to live longer than smaller ones, with the average lifespan increasing with size. Cockatoos and macaws are among the longest-lived parrots, often outliving their owners. The oldest recorded parrot was a cockatoo that lived to be over 80 years old. A horse lives on average 25 to 30 years, but ponies often live into their 40s. Smaller horse breeds tend to live longer than larger ones, with ponies frequently reaching their late 30s. Good care, including proper nutrition and veterinary attention, can extend a horse's life. The oldest recorded horse lived to be 62 years old. An elephant's lifespan in the wild is about 60 years, roughly the same as some tortoises. Elephants in captivity can live longer, sometimes reaching 70 years or more. Female elephants tend to live longer than males. partly because males fight more and suffer injuries. The oldest known elephant lived to be 86 years old in captivity. A jellyfish species called Turritopsis dohrnii is biologically immortal, meaning it can revert to its polyp stage after reaching maturity. This process, called transdifferentiation, allows the jellyfish to effectively restart its life cycle. It can repeat this process indefinitely, potentially living forever unless killed by disease or predation. This makes it the only known animal capable of biological immortality. A mayfly lives for about 24 hours as an adult, but spends a year or more as a nymph underwater. The adult mayfly doesn't eat, it has no functional mouthparts, and lives just long enough to mate and lay eggs. The brief adult life is a striking contrast to the long nymphal stage. Some species live only a few hours as adults. A sea turtle's lifespan is roughly 50 to 80 years, with some reaching 100, but that's rare. Sea turtles grow slowly and take decades to reach sexual maturity. Their long lives are partly due to their slow metabolism and protection from predators once they reach adult size. The oldest recorded sea turtle was estimated to be over 100 years old. A kangaroo lives about 6 to 8 years in the wild, which is shorter than many other mammals of its size. Kangaroos face threats from predators, drought, and disease, which limit their lifespan. In captivity, they can live longer, sometimes reaching 20 years. The smaller wallabies tend to live shorter lives than the larger kangaroos. A squirrel lives about 6 to 10 years, but most don't survive their first year. The high mortality rate among young squirrels is due to predation, starvation, and accidents. Those that survive their first year often live several more years in the wild. In captivity, squirrels can live up to 20 years. A lobster's lifespan is about 50 years, but they can live longer, and they don't stop growing until they die. Lobsters grow by molting, shedding their exoskeleton and forming a new, larger one. This process continues throughout their lives, with growth slowing as they age. The oldest known lobster was estimated to be over 140 years old. A goldfish can live up to 20 years, but most don't reach that in a bowl. The average is closer to 5 years. Goldfish require clean water, proper nutrition, and adequate space to live long lives. In small bowls without filtration, they often die within a few years. In ponds or large aquariums, they can live for decades. A rabbit lives about 8 to 12 years, depending on breed, with smaller breeds living longer. Dwarf rabbits often live longer than giant breeds, with some reaching 14 years. Good care, including a proper diet and veterinary attention, can extend a rabbit's life. The oldest recorded rabbit lived to be 18 years old. A sheep lives about 10 to 12 years, with some reaching 20 in ideal conditions. Sheep are generally hardy animals but can suffer from parasites and diseases that shorten their lives. In commercial settings, sheep are often culled before they reach old age. The oldest recorded sheep lived to be 25 years old. A dog's lifespan varies wildly, from about 10 years for large breeds to 15 for small breeds. Large dogs age faster than small dogs, with giant breeds like Great Danes living only 6 to 8 years. Small breeds like Chihuahuas can live into their late teens. Mixed breed dogs often live longer than purebred dogs. A cicada's life cycle lasts 13 to 17 years underground as nymphs, then only a few weeks as adults. The nymphs feed on tree roots underground, growing slowly over many years. In their final year, they emerge en masse, mate, and die within weeks. This synchronized emergence is a survival strategy that overwhelms predators. A dragonfly's adult lifespan is about 2 to 4 weeks, after spending years as a nymph in water. The aquatic nymph stage can last from a few months to several years, depending on the species. The adult dragonfly is a voracious predator, hunting other insects in flight. After mating, the female lays eggs in water, and the cycle begins again. A flamingo lives about 20 to 30 years in the wild, longer in captivity. Flamingos are social birds that live in large colonies, and they're relatively long-lived for birds their size. In zoos, where they're protected from predators and disease, they can live into their 40s. The oldest recorded flamingo lived to be 83 years old. A penguin's lifespan is about 15 to 20 years, depending on species and environment. Smaller penguin species tend to live shorter lives than larger ones. Penguins face threats from predators, climate change, and human disturbance, which can shorten their lives. In captivity, they often live longer, with some reaching 30 years. An alligator lives about 30 to 50 years, but some have been recorded over 70 in captivity. Alligators are long-lived reptiles that grow throughout their lives. In the wild, their lifespan is limited by disease, injury, and human activity. The oldest known alligator lived to be over 80 years old in a zoo. A seahorse lives about 1 to 5 years, with the larger species living longer. Seahorses are small fish with unique life histories, including male pregnancy. Their lifespan is relatively short compared to other fish of similar size. In captivity, they can live longer with proper care. A jellyfish's lifespan varies, with some species living for decades and others for months. The immortal jellyfish is an exception, but most species have a defined lifespan. Jellyfish go through a polyp stage and a medusa stage, and the medusa stage is the one most people recognize. The lifespan is often tied to the species and the environment. A mole lives about 3 to 4 years in the wild, with some living longer in captivity. Moles are small, burrowing mammals that face threats from predators and habitat loss. Their underground lifestyle protects them from many dangers but limits their food supply. In captivity, they can live up to 6 years. A camel's lifespan is about 40 to 50 years, similar to horses. Camels are hardy animals adapted to desert life, and they can live long lives with proper care. In the wild, their lifespan is shorter due to drought, predation, and human activity. The oldest recorded camel lived to be over 50 years old. A raccoon lives about 2 to 3 years in the wild, but up to 20 in captivity. Raccoons face many threats in the wild, including disease, predators, and vehicle collisions. In urban areas, they often live longer because they have access to food and fewer predators. The oldest recorded raccoon lived to be 21 years old. A wolf's lifespan is about 6 to 8 years in the wild, but up to 17 in captivity. Wolves face threats from hunting, disease, and competition, which shorten their lives. In protected areas, they may live longer. The oldest recorded wolf lived to be 17 years old in captivity. A bison lives about 15 to 20 years in the wild, with some living into their 30s. Bison are large, grazing animals that are relatively long-lived for their size. In the wild, their lifespan is limited by predation, disease, and harsh winters. In captivity, they can live longer, with some reaching 30 years. A fox's lifespan is about 2 to 5 years in the wild, but up to 14 in captivity. Foxes face many threats, including hunting, vehicle collisions, and disease, which shorten their lives. In urban areas, they may live longer because they have access to food and shelter. The oldest recorded fox lived to be 14 years old. A zebra's lifespan is about 20 to 30 years in the wild, with some living longer in captivity. Zebras are social animals that live in herds, and their lifespan is similar to horses. In the wild, they face threats from predation and drought. The oldest recorded zebra lived to be over 40 years old. A giraffe's lifespan is about 20 to 25 years in the wild, with some living longer in captivity. Giraffes are the tallest animals and have relatively short lives for their size. In captivity, they can live into their 30s with good care. The oldest recorded giraffe lived to be 31 years old. A sloth lives in the canopy of South American rainforests and only leaves its tree to defecate about once a week. This descent to the forest floor is one of the most dangerous things a sloth does, as it's vulnerable to predators on the ground. The sloth digs a small hole, defecates, and then climbs back up to the safety of the canopy. This ritual is so regular that sloths often use the same spots repeatedly. A puffin nests in burrows on cliffs, using its beak to dig, and sometimes shares a burrow with a rabbit. Puffins are seabirds that return to land only to breed, and they dig their burrows in grassy slopes or rocky crevices. The burrows provide protection from predators and harsh weather. Some puffins take over abandoned rabbit burrows rather than digging their own. A hermit crab lives in discarded snail shells and changes shells as it grows, sometimes forming queues to trade up. Hermit crabs don't grow their own shells, so they must find abandoned ones that fit. When a hermit crab outgrows its shell, it searches for a larger one, often encountering others in the same situation. They sometimes line up by size and exchange shells in sequence. A camel lives in the desert, but it stores fat in its hump, not water, and drinks only when needed. Camels are adapted to survive in arid environments where water is scarce. They can go for days without drinking, getting moisture from the vegetation they eat. The fat in their hump is metabolized for energy, not for water storage. A penguin lives in Antarctica, but some species live as far north as the Galapagos, near the equator. The Galapagos penguin is the only penguin species found north of the equator, adapted to warmer waters. They survive by staying in cool ocean currents and seeking shade during the hottest parts of the day. Despite the warmth, they still breed and nest on rocky shores. A clownfish lives in sea anemones and is immune to the anemone's sting due to its protective mucus coating. The clownfish and anemone have a symbiotic relationship, with the fish gaining protection from predators and the anemone getting cleaned and fed. The clownfish's mucus coating prevents the anemone's nematocysts from firing. The fish also chases away anemone-eating predators. A beaver lives in lodges it builds from mud and sticks, with underwater entrances to avoid predators. The lodge is a dome-shaped structure built in the middle of a pond or river, with an entrance below the waterline. Inside, the lodge has a dry living chamber above the water level. The underwater entrance prevents predators like bears and wolves from entering. A bat lives in caves, trees, or buildings, and some species roost in dead leaves or even inside flowers. Bats are highly adaptable and use a variety of roosting sites, depending on the species. Some bats form colonies in caves, while others roost alone in foliage. The choice of roost is influenced by temperature, humidity, and predator pressure. A turtle lives in water or on land, depending on the species, but all lay their eggs on land, even sea turtles. Female sea turtles swim long distances to nest on the same beaches where they were born. They dig nests in the sand, lay their eggs, and cover them before returning to the sea. The hatchlings emerge and make their way to the water without parental care. A kangaroo lives in the Australian outback, but can survive in grasslands, woodlands, and even suburban fringes. Kangaroos are adaptable animals that can live in a variety of habitats across Australia. They prefer open areas with grass for grazing and cover for shelter. In suburban areas, they sometimes come into conflict with humans by eating gardens and crops. A flamingo lives in shallow lakes and lagoons, where it filters algae and crustaceans from muddy water. Flamingos are wading birds that feed in alkaline lakes with high salt concentrations. They use their unique beaks to filter food from the water, often standing in large groups. The muddy water contains the carotenoid pigments that give flamingos their pink color. A meerkat lives in underground burrows with multiple entrances and chambers for different purposes. Meerkats are social animals that live in colonies, and their burrow systems can be quite extensive. The chambers are used for sleeping, rearing young, and storing food. They take turns standing guard at the entrances to watch for predators. A fox lives in dens but will also use abandoned burrows of other animals. Foxes are adaptable and use a variety of den sites, depending on availability. They may dig their own dens or take over those dug by rabbits, badgers, or other animals. The den is used for rearing pups and escaping the elements, and foxes may move between dens. A deer lives in forests and plains and can adapt to suburban areas where food is plentiful. Deer are highly adaptable herbivores that can live in a variety of habitats across the world. They prefer areas with a mix of cover and open space, which provides both food and shelter. Suburban areas often offer gardens and shrubbery that deer find attractive. An alligator lives in freshwater swamps, but also in rivers, lakes, and sometimes brackish water. Alligators are reptiles that live in the southeastern United States, primarily in freshwater wetlands. They can tolerate some salinity but prefer freshwater habitats with abundant prey. They use burrows for shelter and to escape temperature extremes. A whale lives in the ocean but migrates thousands of miles between feeding and breeding grounds. Whales are marine mammals that travel great distances, following the seasons and food availability. Some species migrate from polar feeding areas to tropical breeding areas each year. The migration is one of the longest of any animal, with some whales traveling over 10,000 miles. A seal lives near coastlines, but some species haul out on ice or remote islands. Seals are marine mammals that spend most of their lives in the water, but come ashore to breed and molt. They prefer rocky shores, sandy beaches, or ice floes where they can rest and avoid predators. Some species haul out in large colonies, while others are more solitary. A polar bear lives on sea ice, but it's threatened by melting ice due to climate change. Polar bears are marine mammals that spend most of their lives on the sea ice, hunting seals. They use the ice to rest, travel, and wait for seals to surface at breathing holes. As the ice melts, they're forced to swim longer distances and spend more time on land. A rabbit lives in warrens, which are complex networks of burrows shared by multiple individuals. Rabbits are social animals that live in colonies, and their warrens can be quite extensive. The burrows provide protection from predators and serve as nesting sites. Each rabbit in the colony has its own role in maintaining the warren. A squirrel lives in trees, but some species live in ground burrows. Tree squirrels are arboreal, spending most of their lives in trees, while ground squirrels live in underground burrows. Both types of squirrels are active during the day and store food for winter. The choice of habitat depends on the species and the availability of resources. A snake lives in a variety of habitats, from deserts to rainforests to water bodies. Snakes are adaptable reptiles found on every continent except Antarctica. Some species are arboreal, living in trees, while others are terrestrial or aquatic. Their habitat choice is influenced by their preferred prey and temperature requirements. A spider lives everywhere except the ocean, the air, and some extreme environments. Spiders are found in nearly every terrestrial habitat, from deserts to rainforests. They build webs in corners, burrows, or vegetation, depending on the species. Some spiders live in caves, while others thrive in urban environments. A wolf lives in packs in forests, tundra, and mountains. Wolves are social animals that live in packs, which are family groups of related individuals. They prefer habitats with large prey populations, such as deer and elk. The pack works together to hunt, protect territory, and rear pups. A fox lives in dens, using them for rearing pups and escaping weather. Foxes are solitary hunters that use dens as temporary shelters, especially during the breeding season. They may use natural caves, hollow logs, or abandoned burrows, or dig their own. The den is kept clean and is used for raising pups until they're old enough to follow the adults. A beaver's lodge is built with mud and sticks, with underwater entrances that keep predators out. The lodge is a dome-shaped structure in the middle of a pond or river, with the entrance below the waterline. The interior has a dry living chamber above the water level. The lodge is reinforced with mud and debris, making it strong and insulated. A firefly lives in forests and fields, producing light in its abdomen to attract mates. Fireflies are beetles that use bioluminescence to communicate, and they're found in warm, humid environments. They prefer areas with ample vegetation and moisture, where their larvae can feed on other insects. The light is produced by a chemical reaction in the firefly's abdomen. A dragonfly lives near water, with its nymph stage being aquatic and adults hunting near ponds and streams. Dragonflies are insects that spend most of their lives as aquatic nymphs. feeding on other insects and small fish. The adults are aerial predators, hunting on the wing near water. They're found near permanent and temporary water bodies. A worm lives in the soil, dark, quiet, and forgotten, with most of its life spent underground. Earthworms are burrowing animals that aerate the soil and improve its fertility. They feed on decaying organic matter, and their tunnels allow air and water to reach plant roots. They're rarely seen above ground, except during heavy rain. A mole lives underground, digging tunnels in the dark, and is rarely seen above ground. Moles are small mammals that spend most of their lives in subterranean tunnels, feeding on insects and worms. Their bodies are adapted for burrowing, with powerful front paws and tiny eyes. They use their tunnels to move through the soil, and they rarely come to the surface. A snail lives in damp leaf litter, hidden from the sun, and emerges only during wet conditions. Snails are mollusks that live in moist environments, often under leaves or stones. They need moisture to move and breathe, so they're most active during rain or at night. In dry conditions, they seal themselves inside their shells with a mucus plug. A group of crows is called a murder, but only in older English. It's less commonly used by modern ornithologists. The term likely comes from folk traditions and old poems, not from actual crow behavior. Ornithologists prefer to call them a flock or a roost, especially when they gather in large numbers at night. The murder term has persisted in popular culture because of its dramatic sound. A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance, which describes their appearance rather than their behavior. The term captures the striking pink color and elegant posture of these wading birds. Flamingos gather in large flocks that can number in the thousands, creating a stunning visual display. The word flamboyance comes from the French word for flame, referring to their vibrant coloring. A group of owls is called a parliament, but this is a literary term, not a scientific one. The term comes from a poem by Geoffrey Chaucer, who described a gathering of owls as a parliament. Ornithologists typically use the term flock or colony for owls. The parliament term has stuck because it sounds dignified and fitting for these wise-looking birds. A group of jellyfish is called a smack, a term that may come from the sound of them hitting the water. Jellyfish gather in large groups called blooms, which can stretch for miles in the ocean. The term smack is less commonly used than bloom, but both appear in older texts. The sound of jellyfish pulsing through the water is subtle, but the term captures it well. A group of sloths is called a snuggle, though sloths rarely gather in groups in the wild. Sloths are solitary animals, spending most of their lives alone in the canopy. The term snuggle is more whimsical than scientific, reflecting the slow, gentle nature of the animals. When sloths do come together, it's usually for mating, or when a mother is with her baby. A group of ferrets is called a business, which is a reference to their busy, curious behavior. Ferrets are energetic and inquisitive animals that are constantly exploring and investigating. They live in groups called businesses, which fit their active and social nature. The term is more commonly used for domesticated ferrets than for wild polecats. A group of penguins on land is called a waddle, but in the water it's called a raft. The waddle term refers to the characteristic side-to-side gait of penguins on land. In the water, penguins float together in groups called rafts, which provide protection from predators. Both terms are descriptive of the penguin's behavior in different environments. A group of rhinos is called a crash, from the sound they make when moving through brush. Rhinos are large, powerful animals that make considerable noise when moving through vegetation. The term crash captures the sound of their heavy bodies pushing through thick growth. Rhinos are usually solitary or live in small groups, so a crash is not a common sight. A group of zebras is called a dazzle, though it's also called a herd or a harem. The dazzle term refers to the striking visual effect of zebra stripes blending together. When zebras run together, the stripes can confuse predators, making it hard to pick out an individual. The dazzle is both a visual phenomenon and a collective noun. A group of otters is called a raft because they often rest together in the water. Otters float together in groups, holding paws to avoid drifting apart. The raft term refers to their habit of floating together like a log raft. Otters are social animals that live in family groups, and they often play together in the water. A group of porcupines is called a prickle, which is both descriptive and literal. The term refers to the sharp quills that cover the porcupine's body. Porcupines are solitary animals, so a prickle is rarely seen. When they do come together, usually during breeding season, they maintain distance to avoid being pricked. A group of bats is called a colony, but also a cauldron or a cloud when in flight. A colony refers to a group of bats roosting together in a cave, tree, or building. When bats emerge at dusk, they form a cauldron or cloud in the sky, swirling together in a mesmerizing display. The terms reflect the different behaviors of bats at rest and in flight. A group of geese is called a gaggle when on the ground, but a skein when flying in a V formation. The gaggle term refers to the noisy, chattering sounds geese make on land. In flight, the V-shaped formation is called a skein, from the Old English word for a length of thread. Geese use the V formation to reduce wind resistance and conserve energy. A group of lions is called a pride, which is a family unit, not just a collection. A pride consists of related females, their cubs, and a few adult males. The social structure is complex, with females doing most of the hunting and rearing. The term pride reflects the family bonds and cooperative nature of these big cats. A group of monkeys is called a troop, a term used for many primate species. A troop can range from a few individuals to several dozen, depending on the species. The social structure varies, with some troops being matriarchal and others patriarchal. The troop provides protection, social learning, and cooperative foraging. A group of wolves is called a pack, which is a social unit with a strict hierarchy. A pack consists of a breeding pair, their offspring, and sometimes unrelated individuals. The pack works together to hunt, defend territory, and rear pups. The hierarchy is maintained through dominance and submission behaviors. A group of elephants is called a herd, led by a matriarch, usually an older female. The herd consists of related females and their offspring, with males leaving the herd when they reach adulthood. The matriarch guides the herd to food, water, and safe areas, using her experience. The herd is a family unit that stays together for decades. A group of bears is called a sloth or a sleuth, though sleuth is more common. Bear groups are rare because bears are generally solitary animals. When they do gather, it's usually at feeding sites like salmon streams or garbage dumps. The term sloth is confusing because it's also the name of a different animal. A group of fish is called a school, a term for a group swimming together. The term comes from the Dutch word school, meaning a group or multitude. Fish school for protection, foraging, and migration, often moving in synchronized patterns. A school can range from a few individuals to millions of fish. A group of whales is called a pod, a family group that stays together. A pod consists of related individuals that travel, feed, and socialize together. The pod structure varies by species, with some whales forming large, complex groups. The pod provides social bonds and cooperative behaviors like hunting and calf rearing. A group of rabbits is called a colony or a warren, referring to their burrow system. Rabbits live in groups called colonies, which share a network of burrows called a warren. The colony provides protection from predators and social interaction. Each rabbit has its own role within the colony, helping to maintain the burrows and watch for danger. A group of deer is called a herd, which can be small or large depending on the season. Deer are social animals that gather in herds for protection and foraging. During winter, herds can be quite large as deer gather in sheltered areas. The herd structure is fluid, with individuals joining and leaving as needed. A group of foxes is called a skulk or a leash, which is a more general term. Foxes are usually solitary, but they may gather in small groups during breeding season. The term skulk refers to their stealthy behavior when hunting. Foxes are more often solitary than social, so a skulk is not a common sight. A group of ducks is called a raft when on water, but a flock when in flight. Ducks gather in large groups on ponds and lakes, floating together like a raft. In flight, they form V-shaped formations called skeins, similar to geese. The raft term describes their behavior on water, where they rest and feed together. A group of parrots is called a company or a flock, which is more general. Parrots are social birds that live in flocks, often numbering in the dozens or hundreds. The flock provides social interaction, protection, and foraging opportunities. Parrots are highly vocal and use calls to keep the flock together. A group of seals is called a colony on land, but a herd in water. Seals gather in colonies to breed and molt, often on remote beaches or ice floes. In the water, they form herds that may include dozens or hundreds of individuals. The colony provides protection from predators and a place to rest. A group of beavers is called a colony, a family unit within a lodge system. A beaver colony consists of a breeding pair and their offspring, living in a shared lodge. The colony works together to build dams, maintain the lodge, and gather food. Beavers are monogamous and stay with their mates for life. A group of kangaroos is called a mob, or a troop, reflecting their social nature. Kangaroos gather in groups that can include dozens of individuals, often with a dominant male. The mob provides protection from predators and allows for social interaction. Kangaroos in a mob graze together and are often seen resting in groups. A group of hippopotamuses is called a bloat or a pod, referring to their large, rounded bodies. Hippos gather in groups called pods, which can include up to 40 individuals. They spend most of their time in water, often packed together for warmth and protection. The term bloat reflects their size and shape. A group of vultures is called a kettle when in flight or a committee when at rest. Vultures are scavengers that gather around carcasses, often in large numbers. The term kettle refers to a swirling group of birds in flight, using thermals to rise. The committee term describes their behavior when gathered around a feeding site. The modern domestic dog descends from wolves, but the exact timing of domestication is debated, ranging from 15,000 to 40,000 years ago. The process likely began when wolves started scavenging near human settlements, becoming tamer over generations. Humans then selected for traits like docility and helpfulness, gradually shaping wolves into the dogs we know today. The evidence comes from archaeological finds of dog remains buried with humans, showing a close relationship. A zebra's stripes are unique to each individual, and they may help with thermoregulation or insect deterrence. The stripes create air currents that cool the zebra's skin, reducing heat stress. Some researchers believe the stripes also confuse biting insects like tsetse flies, which have trouble landing on striped surfaces. The exact function is still debated, but the stripes are clearly adaptive. A rhinoceros's horn is made of keratin, the same material as fingernails, and is not attached to the skull. The horn grows from the skin, not from bone, and it consists of compressed hair-like fibers. If a rhino loses its horn, it can regrow it, though it's a slow process. The horn is used for defense and for digging in the soil for minerals. A camel's hump evolved as a fat storage system for harsh desert environments, but its exact ancestral form is unclear. The hump allows the camel to store energy and water when resources are scarce. The fat in the hump is metabolized for energy, releasing water as a byproduct. The hump is not a water storage organ, despite common misconceptions. A penguin's wings evolved into flippers over millions of years, but it still has the same bones as a flying bird, just shorter and flatter. The bones include the humerus, radius, and ulna, which are present in both penguins and flying birds. The flipper shape allows penguins to swim efficiently through the water, propelling themselves with a flying motion. The evolution from flying to swimming is a classic example of adaptive change. A tortoise's shell is part of its skeleton, evolved from ribs and vertebrae, not from external armor. The shell formed over time as the ribs and spine broadened and fused together. The outer layer of keratin provides protection, while the inner bone structure supports the tortoise. The shell is not a separate entity, it's integrated into the tortoise's body. A frog's skin evolved to be highly permeable to water, but this means it's sensitive to environmental toxins. Frogs absorb water and oxygen through their skin, which is thin and moist. This permeability makes them vulnerable to pollutants and changes in their environment. Their skin is an indicator of ecosystem health, as toxins can quickly enter their bodies. A whale's spine evolved from a terrestrial mammal ancestor, and some species still have a small pelvis. The pelvis is a remnant of their hind limbs, which were lost during the transition to aquatic life. The whale's spine is flexible and adapted for swimming, with vertebrae that allow undulating movement. The presence of a pelvis suggests whales descended from walking ancestors. A koala's diet of eucalyptus leaves evolved because the leaves are toxic to most other animals, leaving the koala with little competition. Koalas have a specialized digestive system that can break down the toxic compounds in eucalyptus. Their long caecum ferments the leaves, extracting nutrients and neutralizing toxins. This adaptation allows koalas to exploit a food source that few other animals can use. An ant's social structure evolved independently in multiple lineages, meaning not all ants are eusocial, but most are. Eusociality involves cooperative care of young, overlapping generations and division of labor. Ants evolved from solitary wasp ancestors, gradually developing complex social behaviors. The social structure has allowed ants to dominate many ecosystems worldwide. A shark's skeleton is made of cartilage, which evolved as a lighter, more flexible alternative to bone. Cartilage is less dense than bone, making sharks more buoyant and agile in water. The cartilage is reinforced with calcium salts, giving it strength and rigidity. This skeletal adaptation has been successful for over 400 million years. A marsupial's pouch evolved to protect its underdeveloped young, but not all marsupials have a pouch. Some have a simple skin fold. The pouch provides a warm, safe environment for the developing joey. Marsupial young are born at a very early stage of development and must continue to grow outside the womb. The pouch is an adaptation that allows for this extended development. A bird's feathers evolved from scales, a feature shared with dinosaurs. Fossil evidence shows that some dinosaurs had primitive feathers, suggesting birds evolved from these animals. The feathers provided insulation and eventually evolved into flight surfaces. The transition from scales to feathers is a major milestone in vertebrate evolution. A snake's leglessness evolved from lizards, a loss of limbs over time that may have improved burrowing efficiency. Snakes evolved from lizards that began to lose their legs as they adapted to underground life. The loss of limbs allowed snakes to move more efficiently through narrow spaces. Some snakes still have tiny pelvic spurs, remnants of their legged ancestors. A camel's hump evolved from fat storage in a region with harsh seasons, allowing camels to survive long periods without food. The hump appears to have evolved in the ancestors of modern camels in North America. The fat is metabolized for energy when food is scarce, and the hump size varies with the camel's nutritional status. The hump is not a water storage organ, despite common myths. A whale's blowhole evolved from the nostrils of a terrestrial ancestor, moving from the front of the face to the top of the head. This adaptation allowed whales to breathe while remaining mostly submerged. The blowhole is surrounded by muscles that open and close it, allowing the whale to exhale and inhale rapidly. The position of the blowhole varies by species, with some having 2 openings and others 1. A bat's wing evolved from a webbed hand of a primitive mammal, with the skin stretched between elongated fingers. The fingers of the bat's hand are greatly lengthened, supporting the wing surface. The wing is flexible and allows for precise control during flight. This adaptation evolved independently from bird wings, a classic example of convergent evolution. A duck's webbed feet evolved for swimming in aquatic environments, providing efficient propulsion through water. The webbing between the toes increases the surface area of the foot, pushing more water with each stroke. This adaptation allows ducks to swim quickly and maneuver easily in the water. The feet also aid in landing and walking on soft mud. A cat's retractable claws evolved for stealth and climbing, allowing cats to move quietly and grip surfaces. The claws are extended by muscles and retracted by ligaments, keeping them sharp for hunting. This adaptation also prevents the claws from wearing down during walking. The claws are essential for climbing, hunting, and self-defense. A horse's single toe evolved from a multi-toed ancestor, with the remaining toe becoming a hoof. This adaptation allowed horses to run faster and more efficiently on grasslands. The hoof is a specialized nail that covers the single toe, providing support and protection. The evolution of the horse's foot is one of the most well-documented transitions in paleontology. A chimpanzee's bipedal posture evolved from a knuckle-walking ancestor, though chimps can walk on two legs for short distances. The ability to walk upright is related to changes in the pelvis, legs, and spine. Chimpanzees are not fully bipedal, but they can stand and walk on two legs for short periods. This adaptation likely evolved to free the hands for carrying objects. A dolphin's streamlined body evolved for speed in water, reducing drag and allowing efficient swimming. The body is smooth and tapered, with fins for steering and balance. The tail fluke provides propulsion, moving up and down to push the dolphin forward. This body shape has evolved independently in several aquatic groups. A turtle's shell evolved for protection from predators, forming a bony cage that encloses the turtle's body. The shell developed from the turtle's ribs and vertebrae, which fused together over time. The shell is part of the turtle's skeleton and cannot be removed. It provides both protection and structural support. An ant's colony structure evolved from a solitary wasp ancestor, with ants developing complex social behaviors over millions of years. The evolution of eusociality allowed ants to cooperate in tasks like foraging, defense, and brood care. The colony is a cooperative unit, with individuals working together for the good of the group. This social structure has been key to the ant's success. A bee's social structure evolved for pollen and nectar gathering, with worker bees sacrificing reproduction to help the colony. The queen bee produces all the eggs while workers forage, build nests, and care for young. This division of labor allows the colony to maximize its resource gathering. The social structure is highly organized and efficient. A beetle's hard forewings evolved for protection of hindwings, forming a shield over the beetle's body. The elytra, as these forewings are called, are tough and often colorful. They protect the delicate flying wings from damage and also help the beetle conserve moisture. The elytra are a key adaptation for terrestrial life. A fly's wings evolved for maneuverability in flight, allowing flies to hover, turn quickly, and escape predators. The wings are made of a thin membrane supported by veins, which provide both strength and flexibility. The second pair of wings has evolved into halteres, balancing organs that help the fly maintain stability during flight. This adaptation has made flies one of the most agile flyers in the animal kingdom. The oldest known bee fossil is about 100 million years old, from amber found in Myanmar. The fossilized bee is preserved in tree resin that hardened over time, capturing the insect in remarkable detail. The bee has pollen on its legs, showing that bees were already pollinating plants during the age of dinosaurs. This discovery helps scientists understand the evolution of flowering plants and their insect pollinators. The first known fossil of a domesticated dog is from about 14,000 years ago, but older remains may exist. The fossil shows a dog that was buried with humans, suggesting a close relationship. The dog's skull is smaller than a wolf's, with a shorter snout, indicating early domestication. This discovery provides evidence of the long history of human-dog companionship. A sloth's ancient ancestors were giant ground sloths, some as large as elephants, but they went extinct about 10,000 years ago. These giant sloths lived in North and South America, feeding on vegetation at high heights. Their fossils have been found in caves and tar pits, often with preserved skin and hair. The ground sloths were much larger than their modern tree-dwelling relatives. A penguin fossil from New Zealand shows a species that was about 5 feet tall, larger than today's emperor penguin. This extinct penguin lived about 60 million years ago, shortly after the dinosaurs disappeared. Its size suggests it was adapted for swimming in cooler waters, perhaps using its size for protection. The fossil is one of the largest known penguin species ever discovered. A whale ancestor called Ambulocetus lived about 50 million years ago and could walk on land and swim. This ancient whale had 4 legs with webbed feet, making it a transitional form between land mammals and modern whales. The fossil was found in Pakistan, suggesting that whales evolved in the region. Ambulocetus likely hunted in shallow coastal waters, moving between land and sea. A turtle fossil from Germany is about 200 million years old and already had a fully formed shell. The fossil shows that turtles evolved their shells early in their evolutionary history. The shell is fully fused to the skeleton, just like modern turtles. This discovery suggests that the turtle shell evolved for burrowing, not just for protection. A crocodile ancestor from the Triassic period was land-based and later evolved into aquatic forms. The ancient crocodile had long legs for running on land, unlike the sprawling posture of modern crocodiles. This adaptation suggests that early crocodiles were active predators on land before moving to water. The shift to aquatic life happened over millions of years, with many intermediate forms found in the fossil record. A shark fossilized tooth is the most common vertebrate fossil because sharks replace thousands of teeth in their lifetime. Shark teeth are made of hard enamel and dentin, which fossilize well. They're found in many sedimentary rocks, often in large numbers. The teeth provide clues about ancient shark species and their diets. A bird ancestor called Archaeopteryx is about 150 million years old and had feathers, but also a bony tail and teeth. This fossil is considered a transitional form between dinosaurs and birds. The feathers are similar to modern birds, but the skeleton has many reptile-like features. Archaeopteryx could likely fly, but was also adapted for climbing. A frog fossil from the Jurassic period is virtually identical to modern frogs, showing it changed little in 150 million years. The fossil has a similar body shape and skeletal structure, indicating that frogs are a highly stable group. This stability suggests that frogs have been successful in their ecological niche for a long time. They've adapted to many environments without major anatomical changes. A bee fossilized in amber often shows pollen on its legs, giving clues about ancient plant relationships. The pollen grains are preserved alongside the bee, providing a snapshot of ancient ecosystems. This evidence helps scientists reconstruct the pollination networks of the past. The relationship between bees and flowering plants has been stable for tens of millions of years. A spider fossil from 120 million years ago, in amber, shows the same web-spinning structures as modern spiders. The fossilized spider has spinnerets similar to those of living spiders, indicating that web spinning evolved early. The amber preserves the spider in detail, including its legs and body structure. This discovery shows that spider anatomy has been stable for over 100 million years. A fossilized dinosaur footprint isn't the dinosaur itself, but evidence of its movement and behavior. The footprint is a trace fossil, preserved in mud that hardened over time. It shows the shape of the dinosaur's foot and the way it walked. These footprints help scientists understand dinosaur locomotion and herd behavior. A trilobite fossil is an extinct marine arthropod from over 500 million years ago. Trilobites were some of the earliest complex animals on Earth, with a segmented body and hard exoskeleton. They lived in the oceans for nearly 300 million years before becoming extinct. Their fossils are found worldwide and are often well preserved. A fossilized egg from a dinosaur or ancient bird is often found in nesting sites, revealing reproductive behavior. The eggs are preserved in sediment, sometimes with embryos still inside. These fossils provide evidence of parental care and reproductive strategies in extinct animals. The shape and size of the egg can identify the species that laid it. A fossilized leaf preserved in rock gives evidence of ancient plant life and climate conditions. Leaf fossils often show fine details like veins and edges, allowing for species identification. They also provide clues about ancient climates, as different plants grow in different conditions. The fossils are common in sedimentary rocks, especially in lake deposits. A fossilized bone of a large mammal, such as a mammoth or saber-toothed cat, is often found in Ice Age deposits. These fossils are well preserved in cold climates, sometimes with soft tissues intact. They provide evidence of the fauna that lived during the last Ice Age. The bones reveal information about diet, size, and health. A fossilized feather preserved in amber can show color patterns of ancient birds. The amber preserves the feather's pigments, revealing its original color. This information helps scientists understand the evolution of bird coloration. The feathers are often from birds that lived in forests, where amber-producing trees were common. A fossilized shell of a marine animal is often found in limestone deposits. The shells are made of calcium carbonate, which preserves well in sedimentary rocks. They provide evidence of ancient marine environments and the animals that lived there. The shells can be identified to species, giving information about biodiversity. A fossilized tree is called petrified wood, preserving the internal structure of ancient trees. The wood is replaced by minerals, creating a stone replica of the original tree. The internal structure, including growth rings, is often visible in the fossil. These fossils provide evidence of ancient forests and climate conditions. A fossilized footprint of a small dinosaur is often preserved in mud from ancient lakes or rivers. The footprint is a trace fossil, showing the shape of the animal's foot. It provides information about the dinosaur's size, speed, and behavior. These footprints are often found in groups, suggesting herding behavior. A fossilized skeleton of a small mammal is often found in caves, preserved by the stable cave environment. The bones are often complete and well preserved, providing detailed information. These fossils show that small mammals were present alongside dinosaurs. They also provide evidence of the evolution of modern mammals. A fossilized bird with preserved feathers and bones shows its flight adaptations in detail. The fossil often preserves the wing structure, including the arrangement of feathers. These fossils help scientists understand the evolution of flight in birds. They also show the diversity of ancient bird species. A fossilized insect preserved in amber often has wings and antennae intact. The amber acts as a time capsule, preserving the insect in 3 dimensions. The wings show venation patterns that help identify the species. These fossils provide evidence of ancient insect diversity and evolution. A fossilized marine reptile, like a plesiosaur, had a long neck and flippers and lived in the oceans of the Mesozoic era. These reptiles were adapted for swimming, with streamlined bodies and flippers. Their fossils are found in marine sedimentary rocks, often with fish remains in their stomachs. They lived alongside dinosaurs but were not dinosaurs themselves. A fossilized pollen grain is used to identify ancient plant species and study past climate change. Pollen grains are highly resistant to decay and preserve well in sediments. They show variations in shape, size, and surface patterns, allowing for species identification. Pollen analysis, called palynology, is used to reconstruct ancient ecosystems. A fossilized seed from an ancient plant is preserved in sediment, often showing details of the seed coat. These seeds provide evidence of the plant's reproductive strategy. They can be identified to species, giving information about ancient plant diversity. Fossilized seeds are found in a variety of sedimentary rocks, from lake deposits to coal seams. A fossilized insect wing is a common find in sedimentary rocks. The wing is often preserved as an imprint, showing its venation pattern. This pattern helps identify the insect species and provides evidence of ancient insect diversity. Fossilized wings are found in many rocks, from coal deposits to shales. A fossilized fish scale is a common microfossil found in sedimentary rocks. The scales are made of hard material that preserves well. They can be identified to species, giving information about ancient fish diversity. Fish scales are often found in large numbers, providing evidence of ancient fish populations. The fastest land animal is the cheetah, but it can only sprint for about 30 seconds before overheating. The cheetah's body temperature rises quickly during a chase, forcing it to stop and rest. After a sprint, the cheetah needs to cool down before it can eat or continue hunting. This limitation means cheetahs often lose their kills to other predators that can sustain a longer chase. The largest mammal is the blue whale, and it's also the largest animal that has ever existed. Blue whales can grow up to 100 feet long and weigh over 200 tons. Despite their enormous size, they feed on some of the smallest marine organisms, filtering them through their baleen. Their size is a result of their aquatic environment, which supports such large bodies. The longest migration of any animal is the Arctic tern, which flies from the Arctic to Antarctica and back annually. This round trip covers about 44,000 miles, or nearly 2 full circumnavigations of the globe. The tern uses favorable winds and ocean currents to make the journey more efficient. This migration allows the bird to experience 2 summers each year. The most venomous snake is the inland taipan, but it's reclusive and rarely bites humans. The taipan's venom is highly toxic, capable of killing multiple people with a single bite. Fortunately, it lives in remote areas of Australia and tends to avoid human contact. When threatened, it usually flees rather than attacks. The loudest animal by proportion is the water boatman, a small insect that makes sound by rubbing its genitalia. The water boatman produces a sound that can reach 99 decibels, proportionally louder than a whale's song. The sound is used to attract mates, vibrating through the water in a series of clicks. Despite its small size, this insect is one of the noisiest creatures on Earth. The strongest animal in proportion to its size is the dung beetle, which can pull over 1,000 times its own body weight. Dung beetles are small insects that roll balls of dung across the ground, often many times their own size. This strength is comparable to a human pulling 6 double-decker buses. The beetle's muscular system is adapted for this heavy lifting. The fastest fish is the sailfish, but only in short bursts. Most fish swim much slower. The sailfish can reach speeds of up to 68 miles per hour in short sprints. These bursts are used to catch prey, but the fish can't maintain this speed for long. Most of the time, sailfish swim at more moderate speeds to conserve energy. The longest living land animal is the tortoise, but the record is disputed among species. Galapagos tortoises can live over 100 years, while some species of tortoise have been recorded at over 150 years. The oldest documented tortoise was a radiated tortoise named Tu'i who lived to be at least 188 years old. Their longevity is attributed to their slow metabolism and herbivorous diet. The deepest diving bird is the emperor penguin, diving to about 1,800 feet to feed. Emperor penguins can hold their breath for over 20 minutes during these deep dives. They dive to access fish, squid, and krill that live in deep ocean waters. Their bodies are adapted for deep diving, with high levels of myoglobin that store oxygen in their muscles. The smallest mammal is the bumblebee bat, weighing about 2 grams and found in Thailand. The bumblebee bat is a small insectivorous bat that lives in limestone caves. It's about the size of a large bumblebee, making it one of the smallest vertebrates in the world. Its diet consists of small insects which it catches in flight. The oldest known pet cat was 38 years old, but most cats live far shorter lives. The record-holding cat lived in Texas and was a mixed breed named Creme Puff. Most cats live between 12 and 20 years, depending on breed and care. Long-lived cats are rare, and extreme longevity is often associated with good genetics and excellent care. The first animal in space was a dog named Laika, a Soviet stray launched in 1957. Laika was chosen for her calm temperament and was launched aboard Sputnik 2. She didn't survive the mission due to overheating and stress, but her flight was a step toward human spaceflight. The launch showed that living organisms could survive the conditions of space. The largest bird is the ostrich, at up to 9 feet tall and 350 pounds. Ostriches are flightless birds that live in Africa, running at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. Their size is an adaptation for life in open grasslands, where they need to see predators from a distance. They lay the largest eggs of any bird species. The smallest bird is the bee hummingbird, at just 2 inches and 2 grams. The bee hummingbird is found in Cuba, and it's one of the smallest vertebrates in the world. Its tiny size is an adaptation for feeding on nectar from small flowers. The bird's heartbeat can reach up to 1,000 beats per minute. The fastest bird in horizontal flight is the swift, at about 70 miles per hour. Swifts are adapted for fast flight, with long, pointed wings and a streamlined body. They feed on insects caught in flight and spend most of their lives airborne. Their speed allows them to cover large distances during migration. The highest flying bird is the Ruppel's vulture, recorded at 37,000 feet. At this altitude, the vulture was at the same height as a commercial airplane. The high altitude allows the vulture to soar in search of food, using thermals to gain lift. Its body is adapted for high-altitude flight, with efficient respiratory and circulatory systems. The animal with the longest tongue is the chameleon, with a tongue up to twice its body length. The chameleon shoots its tongue out to capture prey, retracting it in a fraction of a second. The tongue is kept curled in the chameleon's mouth, ready to strike. The tip of the tongue is covered in mucus, helping it stick to prey. The animal with the longest tail is the giraffe, at up to 8 feet long. The tail is used for swatting insects and for balance during running. It's covered in a tuft of long hairs that provide extra reach for insect swatting. The tail is also used for communication, signaling to other giraffes. The animal with the largest eyes is the giant squid, at up to 10 inches in diameter. The giant squid's eyes are the largest of any animal, adapted for seeing in the deep ocean. Their size allows the squid to detect faint light from prey or predators. The eyes are highly sensitive, capable of detecting bioluminescent flashes. The animal with the longest neck is the giraffe, up to 6 feet long. The neck is made of just 7 vertebrae, the same as other mammals, but each one is elongated. The long neck allows the giraffe to reach high into trees for food. It also serves as a weapon in fights, with males swinging their necks at rivals. The animal with the longest legs is the giraffe, with legs up to 6 feet long. The legs are adapted for walking across long distances and for running at speed. Despite their length, giraffes walk with a unique gait, moving both legs on the same side at once. This gait is called a pace, and it's more stable than a trot. The animal with the longest ears is the elephant, with ears up to 6 feet long. The ears are used for thermoregulation, with blood vessels that release heat. Elephants also use their ears for communication, flapping them to signal to other elephants. The ear size varies by species, with African elephants having larger ears than Asian elephants. The animal with the longest horns is the water buffalo, with horns up to 6 feet long. The horns are used for defense and for establishing dominance in the herd. Water buffalo have distinctive, broad horns that curve upward and inward. The horns continue to grow throughout the buffalo's life. The animal with the longest fangs is the snake, with fangs up to 2 inches long. The fangs are used to inject venom into prey, and they can be folded back when not in use. The fangs are hollow, allowing venom to flow through them. Some snakes have fangs that are hinged, folding back against the roof of the mouth. The animal with the longest claws is the sloth, with claws up to 4 inches long. The claws are used for hanging from branches and for climbing trees. Sloths have 3 or 4 claws on each foot, depending on the species. The claws are curved and sharp, providing a secure grip on branches. The animal with the longest teeth is the walrus, with tusks up to 3 feet long. The tusks are used for fighting, for display, and for hauling out on ice. Both male and female walruses have tusks, though the males are usually larger. The tusks are elongated canine teeth that continue to grow throughout the walrus's life. The animal with the longest wingspan is the albatross, at up to 12 feet across. Albatrosses are seabirds with long, narrow wings adapted for soaring flight. Their wingspan allows them to glide for long distances, covering hundreds of miles without flapping. This efficient flight helps them feed over vast stretches of ocean. The animal with the longest lifespan is the bowhead whale, which can live over 200 years. Bowhead whales are found in the Arctic and subarctic waters, where they feed on krill and small fish. Their long lifespan is due to their slow metabolism and cold environment, which reduces cellular damage. The oldest known bowhead whale was estimated to be over 200 years old. The animal with the shortest lifespan is the mayfly, with adults living less than 24 hours. Mayflies spend most of their lives as nymphs in water, emerging as adults for only a brief period. The adult mayfly does not eat, it has no functional mouthparts, and lives only to reproduce. The short life is a reproductive strategy that overwhelms predators. The animal with the longest migration is the Arctic tern, as mentioned, but some other species also travel great distances. The gray whale migrates over 10,000 miles round trip between feeding and breeding grounds. The monarch butterfly migrates over 2,000 miles, crossing the North American continent. These migrations are triggered by seasonal changes and food availability. A ladybug is a beetle, and the term lady originally referred to the Virgin Mary, but we'll just call it a beetle. The red and black spots of the ladybug are a warning to predators that the insect is distasteful. Ladybugs are beneficial insects that feed on aphids, making them popular with gardeners. The name has been used for centuries, but the religious origin is rarely considered today. A catwalk is named after cats' quiet, balanced walking. It's a narrow platform, originally in theaters. The term was first used in the 1880s to describe the narrow walkways above stages where actors could move unseen. The cat's ability to walk along narrow ledges inspired the name. Today, catwalks are used in fashion, construction, and theater. A caterpillar is the larval stage of a butterfly or moth, and the word comes from Old French for hairy cat. The caterpillar's many legs and fuzzy appearance made it look like a small cat to early observers. The term has been used in various forms since the 15th century. Despite the name, caterpillars are not cats and have no relation to felines. A pony isn't a baby horse. It's a small breed of horse, fully grown, under 14.2 hands high. Ponies are proportioned differently from horses, with thicker necks and shorter legs. They're often stockier and hardier than horses, adapted for colder climates. The word pony comes from the Old French word poulainer, meaning a small horse. A bullfrog is named for its loud call, which resembles a bull's bellow, not for its size. The bullfrog's call is a deep, resonant bellow that can be heard from a distance. The name was given by early European settlers in North America, who were reminded of cattle. Bullfrogs are the largest frogs in North America, but the name refers to the sound they make. A chicken is a bird, and chicken out comes from the bird's perceived cowardice, though it's not accurate. Chickens are actually quite brave when defending their territory or young. The phrase is used to describe someone who avoids a challenge out of fear. Despite the stereotype, chickens are intelligent animals with complex social structures. A mule is a hybrid of a horse and a donkey, and it's sterile and has 63 chromosomes. Mules inherit the strength of the horse and the endurance of the donkey. They're used as pack animals and for agriculture in many parts of the world. The mule's sterility is due to the different number of chromosomes in horses and donkeys. A lobster was once used as fertilizer in the United States, considered poor food in the early colonial period. Lobsters were so abundant that they were used to fertilize crops and were fed to prisoners. The lobster's low status changed in the 19th century when it became a delicacy. Now it's considered a luxury food item, far from its humble beginnings. A cobra isn't a single snake. It refers to several species in the family Elapidae, all with hoods. The hood is formed by elongated ribs that the cobra extends when threatened. Cobras are found in Africa, Asia, and the Americas. The name comes from the Portuguese cobra de capello, meaning snake with a hood. A grizzly is a bear, but its name comes from grizzled, meaning streaked with gray, not grizzly. The grizzly bear's fur has silver-gray tips that give it a grizzled appearance. The name was given by early explorers who noted the bear's distinctive coloring. Despite the name, grizzly bears are not necessarily more ferocious than other bears. A magpie is a bird in the crow family, and to magpie means to collect things obsessively. Magpies are known for their habit of collecting shiny objects, a behavior that has entered folklore. The name is a shortening of maggot pie, referring to the bird's piebald coloring. The magpie's collecting behavior has led to its association with theft. A squid in a jar is called calamari, but that's just the culinary name. The animal is still a squid. Calamari refers to the squid when it's prepared as food, usually fried or grilled. The term is used in many cuisines, including Italian, Spanish, and Greek. Despite the culinary name, the animal is always a squid. A seahorse isn't a horse, it's a fish with a horse-shaped head. Seahorses are found in tropical and temperate waters, where they swim upright. They have a prehensile tail and a snout-like mouth that sucks up food. The name was given by the ancient Greeks, who thought the fish resembled a small horse. A butterfly isn't made of butter, but the name may come from the yellow color of some species. The yellow brimstone butterfly was particularly common in England, and its color may have inspired the name. Another theory suggests the name comes from flutterby, which was reversed over time. Butterflies are insects with colorful wings, found worldwide in various habitats. A dragonfly isn't a dragon, but its name comes from its large, dragon-like appearance. Dragonflies are ancient insects, with fossils dating back to the time of the dinosaurs. Their large eyes and powerful flight make them formidable predators. The name has been used in various forms since the 16th century. A ladybird is a beetle, called a ladybug in the United States. The name ladybird is more common in the UK and other English-speaking countries. Like the ladybird feeds on aphids and other small insects. The religious origin of the name is often overlooked in modern usage. A spider web is a web built by a spider, used for catching prey, not for daily use. Spider webs are made of silk, which the spider produces from spinnerets. The silk is strong and elastic, capable of catching insects much larger than the spider. Spider webs are common in gardens, homes, and forests, but they have no practical use for humans. A beeline means a straight line, referring to a bee's direct flight to a hive. Bees fly directly from a food source to their hive, creating a straight line. The term has been used since the 19th century to describe a direct route. Taking a beeline means going straight to a destination without detours. A school of fish comes from the Dutch word school, meaning a group, not a place of learning. The term has been used since the 14th century to describe a group of fish. The association with education is a later development, separate from the animal term. Schools of fish are common, with many species swimming together for protection and feeding. A cowbird is a bird that follows cows, feeding on insects disturbed by grazing. Cowbirds are found in North and South America, where they live in open habitats. They're often seen walking behind cattle, catching insects that are flushed out. The cowbird is also known for its brood parasitism, laying its eggs in other birds' nests. A foxglove is a plant named for its bell-shaped flowers, not for foxes. The flowers of the foxglove are shaped like the fingers of a glove, and they were once thought to be inhabited by fairies. The name may come from fox's gloves, referring to a folk belief that foxes used the flowers as gloves. Despite the name, the plant is toxic to both foxes and humans. A horsehair is a term for a kind of worm, not from a horse's hair. Horsehair worms are parasites that live inside insects, and they were once thought to come from horsehairs. The worms are long and thin, resembling horsehairs, which led to the name. They're found in water and moist soil, and they are not related to horses. A catnip is a plant called catmint, but it's not a real animal reference. Catnip contains nepetalactone, a compound that attracts cats. The plant is a member of the mint family and is used as a treat for cats. The name comes from the plant's effect on cats, not from any relationship with felines. A dogwood is a tree named for its hard wood, which was used for dog-related tools. Dogwood wood is dense and hard, used for making small tools, including dog handles. The name is a literal description of the wood's use, not from any relation to dogs. Dogwoods are small trees with distinctive white flowers. A weasel is a small carnivore, and the phrase, weasel out, means to avoid something, a reference to their elusive nature. Weasels are known for being quick and difficult to catch, slipping through small spaces. The term, weasel out, refers to escaping a difficult situation through cleverness. Weasels are found in various habitats across the northern hemisphere. A mole is a burrowing animal, and mole in a spy context comes from the same idea of tunneling. The word mole is used for a spy who works from within an organization, burrowing in like the animal. The term was first used in the 1920s, influenced by the animal's underground habits. The connection is based on the idea of hiding and working in secret. A wolf whistle is a whistle used to attract attention, named for the wolf's howl. The whistle is a high-pitched, two-note sound that was associated with wolves. The term has been used since the 1930s to describe a particular style of whistle. Despite the name, the whistle is made by humans, not wolves. A kangaroo pouch is the marsupial's carrying pouch, not to be confused with a man-made pouch. The pouch is a fold of skin that opens upward, protecting the developing joey. It's a natural feature of kangaroos and other marsupials. The term pouch is used for the animal's organ, which has no relation to containers. A catfish has whisker-like barbels around its mouth that resemble a cat's whiskers. The barbels are used for tasting and feeling food in murky water. Catfish are found in freshwater and marine environments, with a wide range of species. The name comes from this resemblance to a cat's face. A horsefly is a fly that bites horses, not a fly that looks like a horse. Horseflies are large, biting insects that feed on the blood of mammals. They're called horseflies because they often attack horses and other large animals. The name describes their preferred prey, not their appearance. A kangaroo carries its baby in its pouch, and the joey is born blind and hairless, about the size of a jelly bean. The newborn joey crawls from the birth canal into the pouch, guided by its sense of smell. It attaches to a teat and stays there for months, nursing and growing. When it gets too large for the pouch, it begins to venture out, returning for safety and milk. A dog stays with its puppies for about 8 weeks, after which the puppies are usually adopted out. The mother dog nurses her puppies, keeping them warm and clean. As they grow, she begins to wean them onto solid food, often by regurgitating her own food. By 8 weeks, the puppies are ready to be socialized and adopted into new homes. A cat nurses its kittens for about 4 to 6 weeks, then begins to wean them onto solid food. The mother cat stimulates her kittens to eliminate by licking them, a behavior that stops as they grow. She also teaches them to hunt by bringing dead prey to the nest. By 6 weeks, the kittens are eating solid food and learning to be independent. A bird builds a nest to lay eggs, and the female incubates them while the male feeds her. The nest is built from twigs, leaves, grass, and other materials, providing a safe place for eggs. The female sits on the eggs, keeping them warm while the male brings food. After the eggs hatch, both parents feed the chicks until they can fend for themselves. A penguin lays 1 egg, which is incubated on the feet of the parent, covered by a skin fold. The parent balances the egg on its feet, keeping it warm and protected from the ice. Both parents take turns incubating, with one staying with the egg while the other feeds at sea. This pattern continues until the egg hatches and the chick emerges. A whale gives birth in the water, and the calf is born tail first to prevent drowning. The mother whale helps the calf to the surface for its first breath, nudging it upward. The calf nurses from the mother, receiving rich milk that helps it grow quickly. The mother and calf stay close, with the calf learning to follow and stay with the pod. A seahorse male carries eggs in his pouch and gives birth to live young after a few weeks. The female deposits eggs into the male's pouch, where they are fertilized and develop. The male incubates the eggs, providing oxygen and nutrients through the pouch lining. When the young are ready, he gives birth through labor-like contractions, releasing fully formed miniature seahorses. A turtle lays eggs on a beach, and the temperature of the sand determines the sex of the hatchlings. Warmer sand produces females, while cooler sand produces males. The female turtle digs a nest with her flippers, lays her eggs, and then covers them with sand. She returns to the sea, leaving the eggs to incubate on their own. A crocodile guards its nest and carries hatchlings to the water in its mouth. The female crocodile stays near the nest during incubation, protecting it from predators. When the eggs are ready to hatch, the hatchlings make chirping sounds, and the female opens the nest. She carries each hatchling to the water, gently holding them in her mouth. A bear gives birth during hibernation, and the cubs are born blind and hairless, nursing while the mother sleeps. The cubs are born in the den in midwinter, protected from the cold. They nurse on the mother's milk, which is rich in fat, helping them grow quickly. By spring, the cubs are fully furred and ready to leave the den. A deer fawn is born with spots, which help camouflage it on the forest floor. The fawn is born with its eyes open and can stand within minutes. It lies still in the grass, relying on its spotted coat to blend in with the sun-dappled forest floor. The mother returns periodically to nurse the fawn, staying away to avoid attracting predators. A rabbit gives birth in a shallow nest lined with fur, and the young are weaned in about 3 weeks. The female rabbit digs a shallow depression and lines it with fur from her chest. The young, or kits, are born blind and hairless, developing quickly over the next few weeks. They leave the nest after about 3 weeks, becoming independent. A kangaroo's pouch is a fold of skin that opens upward, not downward, to keep the joey secure. The upward opening prevents the joey from falling out when the kangaroo hops. The pouch is lined with soft fur and contains teats that produce milk. The joey stays in the pouch for months, eventually leaving but returning for food and protection. A bird's incubation period varies from 10 days to 80 days, depending on the species. Smaller birds generally have shorter incubation periods, while larger birds take longer. The incubation period is the time from when the first egg is laid to when it hatches. The eggs are kept warm by the parents, who sit on them and turn them regularly. A fish lays eggs, which are often eaten by other fish, so many are laid at once. Fish reproduce by spawning, releasing eggs and sperm into the water. The eggs are left to develop on their own, with no parental care. This high number of eggs increases the chance that some will survive to adulthood. A frog lays eggs in water, which hatch into tadpoles before becoming frogs. The female frog lays clusters of eggs, often in ponds or streams, and the male fertilizes them externally. The eggs hatch into tadpoles, which are aquatic and feed on algae. As they develop, the tadpoles grow legs and lose their tails, becoming adult frogs. A snake lays eggs in a nest or burrow and leaves them to hatch on their own. Some snakes guard their eggs, but most abandon them after laying. The eggs are leathery and absorb moisture from the environment. The hatchlings emerge fully formed and must fend for themselves immediately. A bat gives birth to a single pup, which is nursed in the roost. The female bat gives birth while hanging upside down, catching the pup in her wings. The pup nurses on the mother's milk, growing quickly over the next few weeks. It stays in the roost until it can fly and forage on its own. A lion cub stays with its mother for up to 2 years, learning to hunt and survive. The female lion teaches her cubs hunting skills, often by bringing them injured prey to practice on. The cubs stay with the pride, learning social behaviors and roles. By the time they're 2, they're ready to leave or join the pride as adults. A wolf mother gives birth in a den, and the pups are weaned at about 6 weeks. The mother stays with the pups while the father and other pack members hunt for food. The pups grow quickly, learning to eat regurgitated food as they're weaned. By the time they're 6 months old, they're ready to join the pack on hunts. An elephant calf is born after a 22-month pregnancy, the longest of any land animal. The calf is born weighing about 200 pounds and stands within minutes. It nurses for several years, with the mother producing milk that is high in fat. The calf stays with the mother for decades, learning survival skills from the herd. A hippopotamus gives birth in water, and the calf nurses underwater. The calf is born after an 8-month pregnancy, weighing about 50 pounds. It learns to swim almost immediately, staying close to the mother for protection. The calf nurses for about 8 months, then begins to eat vegetation. A seal pup stays on land for a few weeks, while the mother feeds on fish. The mother seal leaves her pup on the beach or ice, returning periodically to nurse. The pup's white fur provides camouflage in the snow and ice. After a few weeks, the pup loses its white fur and is ready to enter the water. A koala's baby, called a joey, stays in the pouch for 6 months. The joey is born blind and hairless, about the size of a peanut. It crawls into the pouch and attaches to a teat for nutrition and development. After leaving the pouch, the joey rides on the mother's back, learning to eat eucalyptus leaves. A fox cub is born in a den, and the parents hunt for food for the cubs. The cubs are born blind and deaf, relying on their mother for warmth and food. The father brings food to the den, and the cubs begin to eat solid food at about 3 weeks. They leave the den at about 6 months, becoming independent. A beaver kit is born fully furred and can swim within an hour. The kit is born in the lodge, a safe environment built by the parents. It can swim almost immediately, following the parents on their daily activities. The kit stays with the parents for up to 2 years, learning how to build dams and lodges. A panda cub is born blind and helpless and stays with its mother for about 2 years. The mother panda is extremely attentive, carrying her cub in her mouth and nursing it constantly. The cub begins to eat bamboo at about 6 months, but continues to nurse for comfort. By the time it's 2, it's ready to live on its own. A rabbit mother gives birth in a shallow nest, often in the middle of a grassy area. The nest is lined with fur and soft grass, providing a cozy environment for the kits. The mother only visits the nest to nurse, usually at dawn and dusk, to avoid attracting predators. After 3 weeks, the kits are weaned and leave the nest to begin their own lives. A gorilla mother carries her infant on her back or chest for the first few years of life. The infant clings to the mother's fur, nursing and sleeping as the mother moves through the forest. As the infant grows, it begins to play with other young gorillas while the mother watches nearby. The bond between mother and infant lasts for years, with the mother providing protection and teaching. A hedgehog mother gives birth to a litter of hoglets in a nest made of leaves and grass. The hoglets are born blind and without spines, but they develop spines within hours of birth. The mother stays with the hoglets, nursing them and keeping them warm. By the time they're 4 weeks old, they're ready to leave the nest and forage on their own. A zebra's stripes are unique to each individual, much like human fingerprints, though we're not counting them. The pattern of black and white stripes varies from one zebra to another, with each animal having a distinct arrangement. Researchers can identify individual zebras by their stripe patterns, which are used in population studies. The stripes also serve a purpose, possibly in thermoregulation or predator confusion. A leopard's spots are called rosettes, and they're irregular, not perfect circles. The rosettes are dark rings with a lighter center, resembling the shape of a rose. Each leopard has a unique pattern of rosettes, allowing for individual identification. The spots provide camouflage in the dappled light of the forest, helping the leopard blend in with its surroundings. A giraffe's spots are unique to each individual, and they become darker as the giraffe ages. The spots are irregular in shape and size, with gaps between them that form a network. Older giraffes tend to have darker, more defined spots than younger ones. The pattern helps the giraffe blend into the savanna's patchy light and shadow. A tiger's stripes are unique to each individual and are visible on its skin as well as its fur. The stripes extend through the fur and into the skin, so a shaved tiger would still show the pattern. The stripes help the tiger blend into the tall grass and jungle shadows, making it harder for prey to spot. The pattern varies between subspecies, with Sumatran tigers having more stripes than Bengal tigers. A polar bear's fur is actually translucent, not white, and appears white due to light scattering. The fur is made of hollow, transparent hairs that scatter and reflect visible light, making the bear look white. This optical effect helps the bear blend into its snowy environment. The black skin underneath absorbs heat, keeping the bear warm in the Arctic cold. A chameleon changes color, but not to match its environment. It changes due to temperature or mood. The color change is controlled by the chameleon's nervous system, which expands or contracts pigment-containing cells. Chameleons change color to regulate their body temperature, to signal aggression, or to attract mates. The camouflage aspect is secondary to these social and physiological functions. A peacock's feathers are iridescent, but the colors come from microscopic structures, not pigment. The iridescence is caused by light reflecting off tiny, overlapping structures in the feathers, creating a shimmering effect. The colors appear to shift and change depending on the viewing angle. This structural coloration is common in birds and insects, producing vibrant hues without pigment. A flamingo's pink color comes from its diet of algae and crustaceans that contain carotenoids. The carotenoids are pigments that the flamingo absorbs from its food, depositing them in its feathers. Without the carotenoid-rich diet, flamingos would be white or gray. The pink color is a sign of good health, as only well-fed flamingos develop the bright pink hue. A monarch butterfly's orange color warns predators of its toxicity, derived from milkweed. The monarch caterpillar feeds on milkweed, which contains toxic compounds called cardenolides. The butterfly stores these compounds in its body, making it distasteful to predators. The bright orange color signals this toxicity, warning birds and other predators to stay away. A poison dart frog's bright color is a warning of its toxicity, though we don't need to dwell on that. The bright coloration, which can be blue, yellow, red, or green, is a visual signal to predators. The frog's skin contains toxic alkaloids that can be deadly to some animals. The colors vary by species, with the most toxic frogs having the brightest colors. A snake's scales can be smooth or keeled, with varying colors and patterns that help it blend in. The scales are made of keratin and are arranged in overlapping rows, providing flexibility and protection. The color and pattern of the scales often match the snake's environment, providing camouflage. Some snakes have bright patterns that serve as warnings, while others are drab and cryptic. A fish's coloration often helps in camouflage or mating displays, depending on the species. Fish can have bright, vivid colors for display, or dull, cryptic colors for hiding. The coloration is produced by pigment cells called chromatophores, which can expand or contract. Some fish can change color rapidly, responding to changes in their environment or mood. A bird's plumage can be colorful or dull, with many shades of brown, black, and gray. Bright plumage is often used in courtship displays, while dull plumage provides camouflage. The color of a bird's feathers is produced by pigments or by structural coloration. Some birds molt their feathers annually, changing color with the seasons. A butterfly's wings have patterns that are species-specific and used for identification. The patterns are made up of scales, which are tiny overlapping structures on the wing surface. The color and arrangement of the scales vary widely between species. These patterns are often used by scientists to identify and classify butterfly species. A moth's wings are typically drab, with patterns that provide camouflage against bark or leaves. Moths are usually nocturnal, and their dull colors help them hide during the day. The patterns are often irregular and varied, resembling the texture of tree bark or dead leaves. Some moths have patterns that mimic larger animals, serving as a defense mechanism. A beetle's shell can be metallic and iridescent, but many are dull brown or black. The metallic colors are caused by structural coloration similar to a peacock's feathers. Many beetles have no bright colors at all, relying on their hard shell for protection. The shell, or elytra, covers the beetle's wings and body, providing a tough outer layer. A lizard's skin can be green, brown, or gray, with patterns that match its habitat. The skin is covered in scales, which vary in size and shape. The coloration helps the lizard blend into its environment, avoiding predators. Some lizards can change color slowly, responding to temperature or mood. A spider's body is often brown or black, with patterns that help it blend in with its surroundings. The coloration varies by species, from the brightly colored garden spider to the drab wolf spider. Most spiders are colored to match their habitat, making them hard to spot. Some spiders have bright markings that serve as warnings to predators. A crab's shell can be reddish, brown, or green, depending on the species and its environment. The shell is hard and provides protection for the crab's body. The color often matches the crab's habitat, providing camouflage. Some crabs can change color during molting, when the shell is still soft. A starfish's color can be orange, red, or purple, with a rough texture that provides camouflage. The starfish's color is produced by pigments in its skin, which can vary by individual. Some starfish have brightly colored patterns that warn predators of their toxicity. The coloration also helps the starfish blend into its surroundings, avoiding detection. A sea urchin's spines can be black, brown, or green, depending on the species. The spines provide protection and locomotion for the sea urchin. The color of the spines often matches the sea urchin's habitat, providing camouflage. Some sea urchins have brightly colored spines that serve as a warning to predators. A snake's pattern can be blotched, banded, or striped, with varying colors that provide camouflage. The pattern is produced by scales that are colored differently, creating the snake's distinctive look. The pattern often matches the snake's environment, helping it hide from predators. Some snakes have patterns that mimic more dangerous animals, serving as a defense mechanism. A cat's coat can be tabby, solid, bicolor, or tortoiseshell, with patterns that vary by breed. The coat color and pattern are determined by genetics, with different breeds having distinctive looks. Tabby cats have stripes or swirls, while solid cats have a single color. The pattern is also influenced by sex, with tortoiseshell and calico patterns being more common in females. A dog's coat can be short, long, curly, or straight, with many colors and patterns. The coat color is determined by genetics, with certain breeds having specific colors and patterns. Some dogs have coats with multiple colors, such as the spotted Dalmatian or the tricolor collie. The coat type and color are part of the breed standard in many dog shows. A horse's coat can be bay, chestnut, black, or gray, with white markings on the face or legs. The coat color is determined by genetics, with different breeds having distinct colors. The most common colors are bay, chestnut, and black, with variations like palomino and pinto. White markings on the face or legs are also common, but they don't affect the horse's overall color classification. A cow's coat can be black and white, brown, or solid, with patterns like Holstein or Hereford. The most familiar cow patterns are the black and white of Holsteins and the red and white of Herefords. There are also solid black or solid brown breeds, like the Aberdeen Angus. The coat pattern is a breed characteristic, with each breed having its own standard. A goat's coat can be white, brown, or black, often with a beard that varies in color. The coat is typically short and coarse, with some breeds having long, woolly coats. Goats can have solid colors or patterns, with some breeds having distinctive markings. The beard is present in both sexes, but it's more prominent in males. A guinea pig's coat can be short, long, or curly, with many color variations. Guinea pigs come in a variety of colors, including white, black, brown, and orange. The coat pattern can be solid, agouti, or roan, depending on the breed. The color is determined by genetics, with different breeds having specific color standards. A rabbit's coat can be short or long, with colors ranging from white to black to brown. Rabbits come in many colors and patterns, with different breeds having specific standards. The coat is soft and dense, providing insulation and protection. The color is determined by genetics, with the agouti pattern being the most common in wild rabbits. A hummingbird feeds on nectar, but it also eats small insects for protein. The nectar provides energy for its rapid wing beats, while insects supply essential nutrients like protein and fat. The hummingbird catches insects in flight or picks them off leaves and spider webs. This combination of nectar and insects makes the hummingbird an omnivore, despite its reputation as a nectar specialist. A bee feeds on nectar and pollen, with the latter providing protein for the brood. The bee collects nectar from flowers, storing it in its honey stomach to bring back to the hive. Pollen is collected on the bee's legs and carried back as a protein source for developing larvae. The combination of nectar and pollen supports the entire colony's nutritional needs. A butterfly feeds on nectar using a long proboscis that reaches deep into flowers. The proboscis is a coiled tube that the butterfly unrolls to sip nectar. Different butterfly species have different proboscis lengths, adapted to the flowers they visit. Butterflies also feed on tree sap, rotting fruit, and even mud, which provides minerals and salts. A moth feeds on nectar, sap, or fruit, but some species don't feed as adults at all. Adult moths in some families have reduced or absent mouthparts, living only to reproduce. Those that do feed use a proboscis similar to a butterfly, though it may be shorter. Moths are important pollinators, visiting flowers that bloom at night. A spider feeds on insects by wrapping them in silk and injecting venom. The spider's venom liquefies the prey's internal organs, making them easier to consume. The spider then sucks up the liquefied material using its mouthparts. This process, called external digestion, allows the spider to eat prey larger than its mouth. A centipede feeds on insects and worms, using its venomous claws to subdue prey. The claws, called forcipules, are modified legs that inject venom into the prey. The venom paralyzes the prey, allowing the centipede to eat it at its leisure. Centipedes are active predators, hunting at night in leaf litter and soil. A millipede feeds on decaying plant matter, breaking down leaf litter in the forest. Millipedes are detritivores, feeding on dead leaves, wood, and other organic material. Their mouthparts are adapted for chewing, and they help recycle nutrients in the soil. Millipedes are not predators and pose no threat to other animals. A slug feeds on plant material, using its radula to scrape leaves and stems. The radula is a ribbon of tiny teeth that works like a file, rasping off plant tissue. Slugs are herbivores that can cause damage to gardens and crops. They also feed on algae and fungi, contributing to decomposition in moist environments. A snail feeds on algae and plant matter, with a radula similar to a slug. The snail's radula is adapted to the type of food it eats, with some having teeth for scraping algae and others for chewing leaves. Snails are herbivores that feed on a variety of plant material, from algae to soft leaves. Some snails are detritivores, feeding on decaying organic matter. A starfish feeds on clams and mussels, using its tube feet to pull shells open. The starfish wraps its arms around the shell and uses the tube feet to exert steady pressure. The shell eventually opens just enough for the starfish to insert its stomach and digest the prey. This process can take several hours, but it's efficient enough for the starfish to eat regularly. A sea urchin feeds on algae and decaying matter, using its five-toothed jaw called Aristotle's lantern. The jaw is a complex structure that scrapes algae off rocks and chews organic material. Sea urchins can graze entire kelp forests, eating both the algae and the holdfasts that anchor the plants. Their diet is primarily herbivorous, but they'll eat dead fish and detritus when available. A lobster feeds on fish, crustaceans, and plant matter as an omnivore. Lobsters are opportunistic feeders, eating anything they can find on the ocean floor. Their diet includes dead fish, smaller crustaceans, mollusks, and algae. Lobsters are scavengers, cleaning up the ocean floor by consuming decaying organic matter. A crab feeds on algae, mollusks, and detritus, with its clawed mouthparts adapted for crushing. Crabs use their claws to crush shells and tear apart prey, then pass the food to their mouthparts for further processing. They are opportunistic feeders, eating whatever is available in their environment. Some crabs are specialized herbivores, while others are omnivores or carnivores. A shrimp feeds on plankton and detritus, using its filtering appendages to strain food from the water. Shrimp are often omnivorous, feeding on small organisms and organic matter. They use their legs to capture and manipulate food, bringing it to their mouthparts for consumption. Some shrimp are specialized for filtering plankton, while others are scavengers. A whale feeds on krill and plankton, using baleen to filter food from the water. The baleen plates act like a sieve, trapping krill and small fish while water is expelled. Whales are the largest animals on Earth, and they depend on the smallest organisms for food. They consume tons of krill each day during feeding season, building up fat reserves for migration. A seal feeds on fish and squid, and sometimes penguins, depending on the species. Seals are carnivores that hunt in the water, using their sharp teeth to catch prey. They consume a variety of fish, from small cod to larger salmon, as well as squid and crustaceans. Some seals specialize in hunting penguins, while others stick to fish and squid. A dolphin feeds on fish and squid, using echolocation to find its prey. Dolphins are social hunters, often working together to herd schools of fish. They use their sharp teeth to catch and hold prey, swallowing it whole or in large pieces. Dolphins are intelligent predators, using coordinated hunting strategies to capture their food. A shark feeds on fish and marine mammals, but many species eat plankton as their primary diet. The diet of a shark varies widely by species, from the tiny plankton-eating whale shark to the seal-hunting great white. Sharks are carnivores, feeding on a variety of prey, including fish, seals, and other sharks. Some sharks are opportunistic feeders, eating whatever is available. A tuna feeds on smaller fish and is itself a popular food fish. Tuna are fast-swimming predators that hunt in schools, feeding on fish and squid. They are an important commercial species, caught for their meat which is used fresh or canned. Tuna are apex predators in their environment, feeding on a variety of smaller fish. A salmon feeds on smaller fish and crustaceans, in both fresh and salt water. Salmon are anadromous, hatching in fresh water and migrating to the ocean to feed. They grow and mature in the ocean, feeding on a variety of fish and crustaceans. When they return to fresh water to spawn, they stop eating, living off their fat reserves. A trout feeds on insects and smaller fish in freshwater habitats. Trout are opportunistic predators, eating insects, crustaceans, and small fish. They are found in streams, rivers, and lakes, where they hide behind rocks and feed on passing prey. Trout are also important sport fish, prized for their fighting ability and flavor. A cod feeds on fish and squid in deep water, often hunting near the ocean floor. Cod are carnivorous fish that feed on smaller fish like herring, capelin, and young cod. They are bottom-dwelling fish, using their sense of smell to locate prey in the dark. Cod are an important commercial species, harvested for their white, flaky meat. A mackerel feeds on plankton and small fish, swimming in schools. Mackerel are fast-swimming fish that feed on a variety of prey, from small crustaceans to squid. They are found in temperate waters, forming large schools that can be seen from the surface. Mackerel are an important food fish, caught for their oily flesh. A herring feeds on plankton and small crustaceans, filtering water with its gill rakers. Herring are filter-feeding fish that consume large quantities of plankton. They are found in the North Atlantic, forming vast schools that support fisheries. Herring are also an important food source for larger fish, seabirds, and marine mammals. A sardine feeds on plankton and is itself a key food source for larger fish. Sardines are small, oily fish that feed on plankton, including copepods and diatoms. They form large schools in the ocean, providing food for bigger fish, seabirds, and marine mammals. Sardines are harvested commercially, used fresh or canned. An eel feeds on fish and invertebrates, using its muscular body for burrowing and hunting. Eels are predators that feed on a variety of prey, from small fish to crustaceans. They are found in both freshwater and marine environments, where they hunt by ambush. Eels have a snake-like body that allows them to burrow into soft mud and sand. A jellyfish feeds on plankton and small fish, using its stinging tentacles to capture prey. The tentacles are covered in stinging cells called nematocysts, which paralyze the prey. The jellyfish then moves the prey to its mouth, located in the center of its bell. Jellyfish are carnivorous, feeding on a variety of small marine organisms. A squid feeds on fish and crustaceans, using its tentacles to capture prey. Squid are fast-swimming predators that hunt using their tentacles and sharp beak. They catch fish and crustaceans with their tentacles, then bite them with their beak to subdue them. Squid are also preyed upon by larger marine animals, including whales and sharks. A hare is born with fur and open eyes, while a rabbit is born blind and hairless. Hares are born in a shallow depression on the ground and are able to move within minutes of birth. Rabbits are born in a fur-lined nest, helpless and dependent on their mother. This difference in development reflects their different life strategies. Hares are more precocial, while rabbits are more altricial. A crocodile has a V-shaped snout, while an alligator has a U-shaped snout. The crocodile's snout is narrower and more pointed, adapted for catching fish and small prey. The alligator's snout is broader and more rounded, adapted for crushing hard-shelled prey. This difference in snout shape reflects their different hunting strategies and prey preferences. A frog has smooth, moist skin, while a toad has bumpy, dry skin. Frogs spend most of their time in or near water, relying on moist skin for respiration. Toads are adapted for drier environments, with thicker skin that retains moisture better. The bumps on a toad's skin are glands, not warts, and they help protect the toad from predators. A swallow has long, pointed wings, while a swift has shorter, scimitar-shaped wings. The swallow's wings are adapted for maneuverability in open spaces, allowing it to catch insects in flight. The swift's wings are adapted for speed and endurance, allowing it to fly for hours without landing. Swallows and swifts are both fast flyers, but their wing shapes reflect their different flight styles. A fish is aquatic and has gills, while a mammal is terrestrial and has lungs. Fish use gills to extract oxygen from water, while mammals use lungs to extract oxygen from air. Fish have scales and fins, while mammals have hair or fur and limbs. This fundamental difference in respiratory and locomotion systems separates the two groups. An insect has 6 legs, while a spider has 8. Insects are classified by their 6 legs, 3 body segments, and often wings. Spiders have 8 legs, 2 body segments, and no wings. This difference is a simple way to tell them apart. If it has 6 legs, it's an insect. If it has 8, it's an arachnid. A crustacean has a hard exoskeleton, while a mollusk has a soft body, often with a shell. Crustaceans have jointed legs and a segmented body, while mollusks have a soft, unsegmented body. Crustaceans include crabs, lobsters, and shrimp, while mollusks include snails, clams, and squids. The exoskeleton of a crustacean is molted as the animal grows, while a mollusk's shell grows with it. A worm is long and tubular, while a snake is also long but has a backbone. Worms have no backbone and move by peristalsis, while snakes have a vertebral column and move by undulation. Worms are invertebrates found in soil and water, while snakes are vertebrates found on land and in water. This difference in anatomy reflects their different evolutionary origins. A lizard has eyelids, while a snake does not. Lizards have movable eyelids that they blink to keep their eyes moist. Snakes have a transparent scale called a spectacle that covers each eye, providing protection without blinking. This difference is a simple way to tell them apart. If it has eyelids, it's a lizard. If not, it's a snake. A turtle has a shell, while a tortoise also has a shell, but is primarily land-dwelling. Turtles are aquatic or semi-aquatic, with flattened shells and webbed feet for swimming. Tortoises are terrestrial, with dome-shaped shells and stumpy feet for walking. The shell shape and limb structure reflect the different environments these animals inhabit. A frog lives in water, while a toad lives on land, mostly. Frogs have smooth, moist skin and webbed feet, adapted for life in or near water. Toads have dry, bumpy skin and less webbed feet, adapted for life on land. Frogs also lay their eggs in water, while toads lay theirs in long chains. A crocodilian is a reptile, while a dinosaur is an extinct reptile. Crocodilians are modern reptiles, with scaly skin and a metabolism adapted for aquatic life. Dinosaurs are extinct reptiles that lived during the Mesozoic era. Both are reptiles, but only crocodilians are still alive today. An alligator has a broad, U-shaped snout, while a crocodile has a narrower V-shaped snout. This difference is most noticeable from above, as the alligator's snout is wider and more rounded. The alligator's snout is adapted for crushing prey, while the crocodile's snout is adapted for catching fish. Alligators also have a darker, more olive coloration compared to crocodiles. A dolphin is a marine mammal, while a fish is aquatic and has gills. Dolphins breathe air and give birth to live young, while fish breathe through gills and lay eggs. Dolphins have smooth skin and a dorsal fin, but they are not covered in scales. This difference in respiration and reproduction separates mammals from fish. A seal has flippers, while a sea lion has visible ear flaps. Seals have short, rounded flippers and no visible ear flaps, making them more streamlined in water. Sea lions have long, pointed flippers and visible ear flaps, which they can rotate for better mobility on land. This difference is easy to spot. If it has ear flaps, it's a sea lion. A dolphin has a dorsal fin, while a whale has a smaller dorsal fin that varies by species. The dolphin's dorsal fin is curved and prominent, used for stability in the water. The whale's dorsal fin is smaller or absent in some species, as they rely more on their body shape for stability. This difference reflects the different swimming styles of these two groups. A porpoise has a blunt snout, while a dolphin has a more pointed snout. Porpoises also have triangular dorsal fins, while dolphins have curved ones. Porpoises are generally smaller and less social than dolphins, with different tooth shapes. This difference is subtle but consistent between the two groups. A horse has a mane and tail, while a donkey has a different shape and larger ears. Donkeys have erect, pointed ears that are proportionally larger than a horse's. The donkey's mane is shorter and more upright than a horse's flowing mane. These differences are part of the donkey's adaptation to arid environments. A sheep has woolly fur, while a goat has short, coarse hair. Sheep's wool is dense and crimped, providing insulation and protection from weather. Goats have straight, coarse hair that does not require shearing. This difference in coat type reflects the different climates these animals are adapted to. A cow has a large udder, while a buffalo has a smaller udder and different horns. The cow's udder is large and produces milk for its calf, while the buffalo's udder is smaller. Buffalo horns are thick and curved, while cow horns are generally smaller and more varied. This difference reflects the different domestication histories of these animals. A chicken has a comb, while a duck has a flat bill and webbed feet. The chicken's comb is a fleshy crest on its head, used for temperature regulation and display. The duck has a flat, wide bill, adapted for filtering food from water, and webbed feet for swimming. These differences reflect the different lifestyles of these birds. A goose has a long neck, while a duck has a shorter neck. Geese are larger than ducks, with longer necks that help them graze on land. Ducks have shorter necks, adapted for feeding in shallow water. The neck length is a reliable way to tell geese and ducks apart. A swan has a long S-shaped neck, while a goose has a shorter, straighter neck. The swan's S-shaped neck is held in a graceful curve, while the goose's neck is more upright. Swans are larger than geese, with a more elegant posture. This difference is part of the swan's distinctive appearance. A panda is a bear, while a red panda is not a bear. The giant panda is a true bear, part of the family Ursidae. The red panda is in its own family, Ailuridae, and is more related to raccoons. Despite the name, the red panda is not a panda in the same way the giant panda is. A tiger has stripes while a lion has a mane and no stripes. The tiger's stripes are vertical and unique, providing camouflage in tall grass and jungle. The lion's mane is a sign of maturity and dominance, found only in males. These two big cats have distinct physical features that make them easy to tell apart. A leopard has spots, while a jaguar has larger spots with dots inside. The leopard's rosettes are smaller and more spaced out, while the jaguar's rosettes are larger with central spots. Leopards are also generally smaller and more slender than jaguars. This difference in spot pattern is a reliable way to identify these cats. A cheetah has spots and tear marks, while a leopard has rosettes. The cheetah's spots are solid and round, with distinctive tear lines from its eyes to its mouth. The leopard's rosettes are ring-shaped and irregular, without tear marks. This difference in pattern is the most reliable way to distinguish a cheetah from a leopard. A crocodile's teeth are visible when its mouth is closed, while an alligator's teeth are not. The crocodile's fourth tooth on the lower jaw is visible, sticking up over the upper lip. The alligator's teeth are hidden inside the mouth when it's closed. This difference is a simple way to tell the two reptiles apart. A dolphin's back is curved, while a porpoise's back is straighter. The dolphin has a more pronounced curve, with a prominent dorsal fin. The porpoise has a straighter back with a smaller, triangular fin. This difference is subtle but noticeable in profile. A frog's skin is smooth, while a toad's skin is bumpy. The frog's skin is moist and slippery, while the toad's skin is dry and warty. The bumps on a toad's skin are glands, not warts, and they secrete toxins for defense. This difference is easy to see and feel, making it a reliable way to tell frogs and toads apart. A worm lives in the soil, dark, quiet, and forgotten, spending most of its life underground. Earthworms are rarely seen above ground except during heavy rain, when they emerge from their burrows. They spend their lives tunneling through the earth, aerating the soil and breaking down organic matter. The soil is their entire world, a dark environment where they find food and avoid predators. A mole lives underground, digging tunnels in the dark, and is rarely seen above ground. Moles are adapted for a subterranean life, with powerful front paws and tiny eyes that can barely see. They tunnel through the soil in search of earthworms and insects, leaving ridges of soil on the surface. The mole's world is one of darkness and silence, far from the bustle of the surface. A snail lives in damp leaf litter, hidden from the sun, and emerges only during wet conditions. Snails need moisture to move and breathe, so they retreat into their shells during dry spells. The leaf litter provides shelter and food, as snails feed on decaying plant material. This dark, damp environment is perfect for these slow-moving mollusks. A beetle lives under logs and in the soil, often in forgotten corners of the forest. Beetles are found in a variety of habitats, but many species prefer dark, moist environments under debris. They feed on decaying wood, fungi, and other organic matter, playing a role in decomposition. The space under a log is a hidden world, teeming with beetles and other small creatures. An ant lives in colonies under the ground or in rotting wood, building complex tunnel systems. Ants are social insects that live in organized colonies, with distinct roles for each member. The colony is hidden from view, with entrances often hidden under leaves or stones. The underground world of an ant colony is a bustling metropolis, out of sight and out of mind. A termite lives in wood, a quiet and forgotten space, feeding on the cellulose within. Termites are social insects that live in colonies, often inside wooden structures. They break down wood, playing a crucial role in decomposition in natural environments. In human structures, they can cause damage, but in forests, they're an important part of the ecosystem. A springtail lives in soil and leaf litter, feeding on decaying matter and helping to break it down. Springtails are tiny insects found in moist environments, where they jump using a spring-like appendage. They are scavengers, feeding on fungi, algae, and decaying organic matter. The soil and leaf litter provide a rich environment for these small creatures. A woodlouse lives under stones and logs in moist, dark places, feeding on decaying plant material. Woodlice are crustaceans, not insects, with a flattened body and 7 pairs of legs. They are found in damp environments, where they roll into a ball when threatened. The space under a stone is a hidden refuge, providing shelter and moisture. A centipede lives in soil and leaf litter, under stones and dead wood, hunting for insects. Centipedes are fast-moving predators with many legs, feeding on insects and other small animals. They are found in moist environments where they hunt in the dark. The leaf litter and soil provide cover for these secretive hunters. A millipede lives in leaf litter and soil, feeding on plant matter and breaking it down. Millipedes are slow-moving decomposers with many legs, feeding on decaying leaves and wood. They are found in moist environments where they help recycle nutrients. The leaf litter provides food and shelter for these gentle creatures. A mite lives in soil and dust and on other animals, often in forgotten places. Mites are tiny arachnids found in almost every habitat, including soil, water, and on plants. Some mites are parasites, living on other animals, while others are decomposers. The world of mites is hidden from view, a miniature ecosystem of its own. A tick lives in grass and undergrowth, waiting for a host to brush by. Ticks are arachnids that feed on the blood of mammals, birds, and reptiles. They wait on vegetation, detecting hosts by their body heat and carbon dioxide. The undergrowth provides cover for these patient hunters, hidden and forgotten. A flea lives in fur and feathers, a forgotten space on a host animal. Fleas are wingless insects that feed on the blood of mammals and birds. They live in the fur or feathers of their host, hiding from view and feeding as needed. The host's body is the flea's entire world, a warm, hidden environment. A louse lives in fur and feathers, similar to the flea, feeding on skin and blood. Lice are wingless insects that live on mammals and birds, feeding on skin, blood, and feathers. They are highly adapted to their host, with specialized claws for gripping fur or feathers. The life of a louse is spent entirely on its host, hidden in the fur. A mosquito breeds in stagnant water, a forgotten puddle or pond. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in standing water, where the larvae develop and grow. The stagnant water provides a safe environment for the aquatic stage of the mosquito's life. The water is often overlooked, a quiet, forgotten space where mosquitoes thrive. A dragonfly lives near water, in ponds and streams, where its nymph stage is aquatic. Dragonfly nymphs live in water, hunting other aquatic insects and small fish. The adults emerge and fly, often near the same water bodies. The water is a forgotten world, hidden from view but teeming with life. A bee lives in hives, but some species live in burrows in the ground, hidden from view. Solitary bees often nest in the ground, digging tunnels in the soil. The burrow provides a safe place for the bee to lay its eggs and rear its young. The underground nest is a quiet, forgotten space, far from the hive. A wasp lives in nests in trees, eaves, or underground, often in forgotten places. Wasps build their nests from paper, creating complex structures that house the colony. The nests are often hidden in trees, under eaves, or in the ground, out of sight. The nest is a bustling metropolis, hidden from view. A fly lives in almost any habitat, from forests to cities, often in forgotten corners. Flies are found everywhere, from garbage to flowers, and are often overlooked. They breed in decaying matter, which provides a source of food for their larvae. The forgotten corners of the world are the fly's habitat, where they play a role in decomposition. A spider lives in corners, webs, and crevices, a forgotten space in homes and gardens. Spiders build webs in corners, between branches, and in other sheltered locations. The web is used to capture prey, and the spider waits in a hidden spot. The corners of a room or the space between branches are the spider's forgotten world. A bat lives in caves and hollow trees, dark and quiet places where they roost during the day. Bats are nocturnal, roosting in dark, sheltered places during the day and emerging to hunt at night. The cave or hollow tree provides protection from predators and the elements. These dark, forgotten places are essential to the bat's survival. A snake lives in burrows and crevices in the ground, hidden from view. Snakes are found in a variety of habitats, often hiding in burrows, crevices, or under rocks. They use these spaces for shelter, to avoid predators, and to regulate their body temperature. The underground world is a forgotten space where snakes find refuge. A lizard lives under rocks and logs in warm places, a forgotten space in the garden or forest. Lizards are ectothermic, relying on external heat to regulate their body temperature. They hide under rocks and logs, emerging to bask in the sun and hunt for insects. The space under a rock provides shelter and warmth. A frog lives in damp, quiet places, near water and under leaves, often hidden from view. Frogs need moisture to survive, so they are found near water bodies and in damp leaf litter. They use the leaf litter for cover, hiding from predators and waiting for prey. The damp, quiet spaces near water are the frog's forgotten world. A toad lives in burrows and under stones and in gardens, often in forgotten spots. Toads are more terrestrial than frogs, using burrows and stone cover for shelter. They are found in gardens, where they eat insects and hide under foliage. The space under a stone or in a burrow is a quiet, forgotten place where toads find refuge. A salamander lives under rocks and logs in moist forests, often hidden from view. Salamanders are amphibians that live in moist forest environments, where they hide under logs and stones. They are secretive creatures, emerging only at night to feed. The forest floor is a forgotten world, teeming with salamanders. A newt lives in ponds and ditches and in damp leaf litter, often in forgotten spaces. Newts are aquatic amphibians that live in ponds and ditches, where they breed and feed. They also spend time on land, hiding under logs and leaves. The pond and leaf litter are forgotten spaces where newts thrive. A toad's burrow is a forgotten space, where the toad spends the hottest or coldest parts of the year. Toads dig into the soil to escape extreme temperatures and to hibernate. The burrow provides a stable environment, protecting the toad from predators and the elements. This underground space is essential to the toad's survival. A garden is a forgotten world for many small animals, from insects to amphibians. Gardens provide food, shelter, and breeding sites for a variety of creatures. The undergrowth, leaf litter, and soil are all habitats for forgotten animals. The garden is a quiet, overlooked space where life continues unseen. A compost heap is a forgotten place, teeming with life from bacteria to beetles. Compost heaps provide a rich environment for decomposers, breaking down organic matter. Worms, beetles, and other creatures live in the compost, helping to recycle nutrients. The compost heap is a hidden world, overlooked but vital to the garden's health. If you're still here, you're not supposed to remember this, and you won't. That's fine. One more. A jellyfish has no brain, no heart, no bones, and yet it moves, and somehow that's enough. Good night.